And my objective in posting that is really for academic discourse, not for any legal or political advocacy. I'd like to make it clear to everyone in the room, I am not here as a partisan. Okay, I am not involved in any political activity. My views that I posted are from the detached perspective of an academic.
Full disclosure po, I've never met you before.
Yeah, opo.
I've only read you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you po. And to be honest po, 2016, I did not even vote for the former president. I was counsel for Grace Poe. Okay, so Senator Grace Poe. So my view that the arrest and detention and expulsion of the former president may have infringed several constitutional guarantees in favor of the former president. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Madam Chair.
Attorney Medina. I think Senator Cayetano has evinced his desire to
Well,
interpolate.
full disclosure then, I'm trying to be non-partisan. I ran as an independent last election, no political party. But I did vote for the president in 2016. No? So I saw the SOJ raising his hand. Would you like to give your comment now? Or I'm actually going to ask him questions on this. Then I'll ask the chair to give you time to rebut.
I would like to hear your questions
Okay,
and answers.
thank you for that. So, sir, tayo ba nag-meet na rin ba tayo?
I don't think so, sir.
I don't think so. So, yeah. Yes, so. I don't mean to be rude, and I thank you for your, volunteering your opinion. Kasi nga, basically, there's so much confusion. So, we're trying to get through the confusion, not only for today, but also for tomorrow, to make sure that we respect our Constitution and everyone's right is protected. So my first question, do we, in this room, do we all agree that if there's conflict between international law and our Constitution will prevail?
Yes, Your Honor, that's the doctrine of constitutional supremacy.
You agree, SOJ? No? Yeah. If there's conflict, di ba? Kasi sinabi naman sa Constitution that international law forms part of the land of the law. So if there's no conflict, wala tayong problema. Okay. So having said that, one of the fundamental or yung anchors or foundations of the Philippine Constitution, also from the U.S. Constitution, is Section 1 of the Bill of Rights, that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any person be denied equal protection of law. Agree, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So, when we arrest someone, we're depriving him of liberty.
Yes, Your Honor.
When we deport someone by virtue of a warrant arrest, let's say like in the case of Congressman Mark Jimenez, extradition with the U.S., we're depriving him of liberty.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So when we I don't know, alleged lawful arrest. Let me just use it that way while we're determining of former President Duterte, and then putting him to a plane to Hague. We deprived him of liberty.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So the next question, was he given due process? So ang sinasabi po ng government, there are two ways: extradition or surrender.
Yes.
Okay. And tama po ba, this law that we're invoking now was passed before we ratified yung ICC?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
This law was prior to the ICC, no? Judicial Notice, Republic Act
9851.
9851. No? I mentioned that because in the interpellation of, I think it was Senator Gordon and Senator Loren, and then meron din Senator Miriam, it was made clear doon na kailangan magpasan pa ng ibang legislation for the pag mag-a-arrest. Ayan, no, Senator Legarda, so even if the executive ratifies it and we concur on its ratification and we pass this proposed measure that we are contemplating now, is it not enough to implement the Rome Statute? Mali lang yung records, wrong statute nakalagay. Pero mukhang tama din na wrong talaga. Pero Rome Statute dapat to. Okay. Senator Gordon, yes, it is just like the VFA all over again. It is not enough, Mr. President, because there will be a mechanism upon which we would have to surrender certain nationals who have committed war crimes or violations against covered by the statute that we have not to be met, no? So meaning, if you take judicial notice of this, while we were passing this law later on, the intent of the legislature was to pass a mechanism for surrender. You can dispute that later on, sir, and look into it. I don't think we'll finish everything naman today, di ba? Some of this we really have to also consult everyone. No? But having said that, I think the point of the senators there was, klaro kasi extradition. So sa extradition, mako-comply mo yung due process sa Section 1 because you will, tama ba ako, you will be brought before a judge.
Yes po.
They will show you the extradition notice and the other papers like the warrant of arrest, and the person being arrested can answer before the judge. Tama
Yes
po ba?
po.
Okay. So let me go to Section 2. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures of whatever nature and for whatever purpose shall be inviolable. No? So, i-google na lang natin inviolable, but tama ba? Basically, you cannot violate this.
Opo.
Okay. And no search warrant or warrant of arrest shall issue except upon probable cause to be determined personally by the judge and after examination under oath or affirmation of the complainant and the witness he may produce, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or things to be seized. Okay. Mas bata ka ba sa akin? 1970 ako pinanganak.
Matanda na po ako.
So,
Yeah.
halos magka-age tayo.
Hindi po, mas matanda po ako.
Mas matanda ka ng kwat. Sorry, mas mukha kang bata sa akin. But, no, the point is, because medyo middle kaming pinanganak nun, I think mas ka-age ko si Gilbert, no? So, ang alam ko lang, by the time kasi I got to law school, 87, 97 ako graduate, 10 years na tong constitution na to eh. This was all a reaction to martial law, where they had different kinds of warrant of arrest, including yung ASO and whatever, which were all legal during that time. Ha? I'm not judging that time. I'm just saying, both under martial law, the former constitution, jurisprudence, going from the Spanish to the Japanese period, to the American period, to our independence. So in the wisdom of the Filipino people, pinasa to na except, ang alam ko lang exception, there may be one or two, but alam ko exception yung sinabi mong deportation because when they come in, hindi na kailangan pumunta sa judge, immigration officials can deport or arrest them, di ba? Pero otherwise, hindi pwedeng si SOJ, DILG, hindi pwedeng si Secretary, no matter how brilliant Secretary Gubo is, when he's in the military can only arrest ata their personnel, no, under certain codes, di ba? But he cannot issue a warrant of arrest, di ba? So the safeguard of each and every Filipino sa due process is you're brought before a judge, and due process is one, yung nakalagay dito, that you're informed about the nature of, the words is in, 12. Yan. Sa Section 12, any person under investigation for the commission of offense shall have the right to be informed of his right to remain silent and have competent and independent counsel preferably of his choice. Yan po, General Torre, yung Miranda rights na binasa mo kay former President Duterte. Tama po, no? I didn't see the whole video eh. I just heard SILG said that there's a whole video, but I only saw sa internet, pero nakita ko binasahan. Okay. Pero nakalagay dito, okay. If he cannot afford, he can be given a counsel, so may question ako later on dyan. Okay, but on Section 14, eto, in all criminal prosecution, the accused shall be presumed innocent until contrary is proved, and shall enjoy the right to be heard by himself and counsel, eto importante, to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation against him, and then to have a speedy trial, no? So meaning, the more you have to explain yung cause at yung nature kung foreign, because you're not familiar with their laws compared sa laws natin. So for example, in the case of Mark Jimenez, he questioned the extradition request before a Philippine judge. I googled it, nakalagay pa nga doon. Nagrereklamo siya, mas atat pa daw yung Pilipino na extradite siya kaso sa Amerikano. I don't even know it's true, no? But my question is, sir, so is it your proposition that if we surrender without an arrest from a Philippine judge, we're denying him due process? That's my words based on Section 1, but feel free to use your words.
Thank you, Senator. Yes, I agree. Basically, the principle involved here is due process. I think a lot of commentators have already pointed out the requirement of adherence to the principle of due process. So whatever it is that the government is action is taking that would deprive a person of life, liberty, or process or property, it has to go through a certain process. It's called procedural due process. If it's a crime, it's a criminal due process. It's a procedural due process requires opportunity to be heard, reasonable opportunity to be heard by and in an impartial or before an impartial tribunal.
And in criminal law, both procedural and substantial due process are essential. Not only
Yes,
important,
yes.
but are essential,
Yes.
diba?
Yes,
Because
yeah.
in let's say, other cases, kung magkamali ng konti sa procedure, it's repairable. Pero sa criminal law, na-accuse ka na mali, kambal mo pala yon, or nung pinasa yung batas na yon, hindi pa pala crime, and then you weren't informed, fatal yon. So much so, that meron ngang doctrine of the poisonous tree, di ba? That if yung evidence that were taken from you were illegally obtained, hindi pwedeng gamitin against you. Is my recollection of the law. You're a professor, so you continually review this. I don't continually review you do this, no, but I should, of course.
I agree, Senator. The rule is the exclusionary rule for violation of the right against
Yes.
unreasonable searches.
I was just
procedures.
emphasizing how important the procedural due process is because my next question, sinabi mo nga reasonable time, di ba? So
Reasonable opportunity po.
reasonable opportunity, which includes reasonable time, right?
Opo.
Because even if you can run to court, if you give the court 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, it's not for us because wala namang Supreme Court regulation or batas na nagsasabing the writ of habeas corpus has to be issued in 12 hours or 1 day or etc. Diba? So you give reasonable time. So can I just interject one question kay General Torre? So sir, when you read the Miranda rights, did you explain the nature and cause of the of the crime that he's being accused of?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It is on record and caught on video, sir.
Yeah, sorry about I don't know lang kasi about the record, so I'm not doubting you.
Yes, sir.
Ang napanood ko lang kasi yung standard Miranda rights that
Yes, sir.
you have. So, how did you read to him yung nature and cause? It's sa warrant or you...
Yes, sir. I read it
narrate-
from the warrant, sir. It
From
was
the warrant.
extracted from the warrant by the DOJ.
So, you read to him the warrant. Around
Yes, sir.
what time po yun? More or less.
Mga around before lunchtime, sir.
So, nung hinuli mo pa lang, binasa nyo na sa kanya yung warrant?
When
Kasi
we-
yung nakita namin video, sir, sa airport, the wife of former ES Miguel Dia was asking nga, di ba? And Ma'am Hanilet was also asking. At sinabi nyo, I don't know what you answered, but basically hindi nyo pa pinakita yung warrant noon, di ba?
Nung yung mga video na yun, sir, gabi na yun, sir. Tapos na ang lahat na yun, sir. Paulit-ulit na lang, inuulit-ulit
No,
na lang
what I
yun,
was
sir.
saying is that ang nakita kong video, yung
Yes.
palabas pa lang sila, and you were informing him naman na meron warrant, di ba?
Palabas sa tube, sir.
Sa tube, oo.
Nung palabas sa tube, sir, when the party of the former president is going out of the tube, doon, sir, sa mismong junction ng tube at sa yung moving junction, sir, ng tube, he was already met by PG who attempted to read him his rights.
Okay.
And they said, wag na, pababain natin ang tension, doon na lang sa 250th.
Okay, so they attempted
wing,
to
sir.
read him his right. And dala nila yung warrant nun, hindi pa?
Yes, sir. Dala na, sir.
Dala na nila?
They will not
So yung
go out of
issue
the
na
plane.
walang dala, that's not true kasi dala nila.
Hindi sila lalabas sa plane, sir. Yun ang condition nila. Hindi kami lalabas sa plane pag wala yung warrant. And
So
it was
nandun
shown
yung
to them.
warrant. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So did you or any of the people who were serving the warrant explain to him the elements of the crime?
Yes, sir. The whole
So
warrant was actually given to them.
So just because it's simple naman, what are the elements of the crime against humanity na may murder? If you explain to him, then you can explain to me, di ba? So what's the elements?
During the time, sir, it was not it was not me who attempted the reading of the rights. It was the Prosecutor General.
Yes, sir. But sabi mo, you know the elements of the
I
crime.
read to him in toto what was written
Yes.
on the warrant, sir.
I read the warrant. Wala doon yung elements of the crime.
We did not say that I know the elements, sir. I just
Yes.
read to him exactly
So-
the charges in accordance with what is written in the
Yes,
warrant.
sir. I'm not arguing on the opinion and the legal kasi ito factual pa lang. But my point is, when you arrest a Filipino citizen for theft, for inciting to sedition, etc., meron po tayong legal maxim that ignorance of the law is not an excuse thereof. So we are, as Filipino citizens, dapat alam natin yung law, di ba? So pag inarrest mo yung isang tao, ano yan, bagransya. Sandali lang, sir. Na-repeal na yung bagransya, hindi na bata, ano yan. But I'm arresting you for what? For theft. You don't need to read the elements because alam na ng Pilipino yung nature and yung cause nung theft. But since this is a foreign court, and it's not even in the Rome Statute, yung elements. It was passed later on. So ang point ko, was the accused, in this case, former president, aware of what he was being accused of? So I'll stop there, sir. Factual lang naman, and I take your answer that it was the warrant was there, it was read to him, and there were different. I won't go to them now. I'm just making the point that even if you serve the warrant, kung hindi niya alam at hindi alam ng lawyer niya, how do you expect him to run to court for to get legal remedy? So going back, Attorney Alexis, sir. So, is the ability to seek legal remedy part of due process? Meaning, if you deny me, if you're accusing me of something, my warrant of arrest, and you don't allow me to go to Philippine courts, is that denying you due process?
Absolutely, Your Honor. Without casting any aspersion on the character or competence of the officials involved.
Yeah, I'm asking a general question. I think
the question that
SOJ
you
naman is
posed, yes.
listening and they will answer. So, going back to surrender. So, if my foreign court ngayon, I have it somewhere here, pasensya na kayo magulo. Senator Trillanes was saying in May 2024 na 3 batches of warrants to. First daw is si PRD, after that daw, Senator Bato, Senator Bongo, etc. And then sa third batch, military and police officials. So I agree with Senator Bongo na wala na tayong magagawa in the sense na nandyan na si PRD. But I disagree na hindi importante itong hearing kasi kung may second, third, fourth batch pa yung warrants, it's important. And take note tama po ba ako, during the time that the Marawi uprising or the Marawi siege, Secretary Anyo, we were still under ICC noon, no? Kasi that was tama po, 'di ba? When we were in Russia. So you know, if a terrorist who survived goes to the ICC and shows them pictures of 19 women or children that were died and comes up with a witness and tells them, alam nyo, from President Duterte to Sec Anyo to the Chief of Staff to ganito, they planned this, they killed this ganito. It may be not true, it may be totally false. So if the ICC issues a warrant here, I want to make sure that every officer of the AFP has his day in court before they're sent to Hague. So valid itong hearing na to. As I said, may emotions lang, and you know, let's excuse all of ourselves kung minsan may konting emotion, but we just want to clarify this. So yun yung context ng tanong ko, Tony Alexis, no? So kung halimbawa may warrant for whatever, for Juan de la Cruz, kinuha siya based on that warrant, pero hindi siya binigyan ng enough time or enough opportunity before a Philippine judge, aren't we denying him due process? Because pagdating dun sa foreign court, as SOJ said correctly, and I agree with him, iba language, iba procedure, and everything. So isn't a Filipino citizen, doesn't he have the right under the Constitution to be judged first by Philippine law before he's brought out to a foreign country or to an international tribunal to face what their interpretation of the law is?
If I may answer,
Yes.
Your Honor, if you look at the consistent policy of the Constitution, when there is a deprivation of liberty, the consistent policy of the Constitution is to involve the judiciary. The exclusion, complete exclusion of the judiciary in the deprivation of liberty of any citizen is anathema to the principles of the Constitution. And you can see that in the different provisions of the Constitution. You can see that in the requirements for the warrant of arrest, due process, liberty of abode, criminal proceeding, criminal due process, even in the period when the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus is suspended, the Constitution mandates the government to file charges against the person. So,
Ma'am, last two
always.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
Constitution-
Yeah.
yeah.
Last
Thank
two
you.
questions or three then opportunity for SOJ. No? So, yung pong, nagugulat ako kasi even those who claim to be human rights activists, pinopost nila to sa Facebook. Again, hindi ko nila lahat. I admire many human rights activists, but even some na very well known, no? If I'm not mistaken, even former Senator De Lima, more or less may ganitong tema. Bakit? Si Duterte ba may alam na due process nung pinatay silang mga to? Diba? Bakit siya ngayon humihingi ng due process? So, my next question is due process only for the innocent? Only for the saints? Or even, first of all, President Duterte is presumed innocent. But assuming 5 times na convicted drug lord, rapist, torturer, etc., nahuli ng PNP, under our Constitution, dapat ba may due process pa rin siya?
Yes, Your Honor, if you look at the text of the Constitution, there are no names that are excluded from its application.
So even if a person, whether he's a private citizen or government, is accused of not giving due process, that's the beauty of the Constitution, di ba?
Opo.
That everyone should be given due process.
Opo.
Oo. So I just want to make that clear kasi nga, sabi ni Secretary De Lima, walang due process sa kanya. But if you go before that, nung iniimbestigahan pa lang niya si President Duterte when she was CHR and she was DOJ, wala naman siyang final na kaso. So sabi naman ni President Duterte, nung mayor pa lang siya, wala akong due process. Sinasabi na niya na guilty ako. So nung siya naman yung naging presidente, eto naman nakulong, ang sinasabi naman niyang walang due process si Duterte. So ang point ko lang, if we as Filipinos do not demand due process for everyone, DOJ and the government is not saying that they denied, but I'm just saying, no, mali yung argument sa Facebook na pag ikaw hindi mo binigyan ng due process yung kalaban, ikaw hindi ka na pwedeng kumuha ng due process. Iba po yun. Meron doctrine sa batas that those to come to court should come with clean hands. That's a different application. Anyone can come to court asking for due process, di ba? I wanted to clear that up lang, and I ask you that, Dr. Alexis, for 2 reasons. One, attorney, because you're a constitutional law professor. Number 2, if I ask SOJ, baka ispin nung iba and they tell na meron o wala si Duterte. I'm not talking about Duterte, I'm talking about every single Filipino deserves due process. Okay. My next question is, will the Interpol, or I don't want you to make a judgment sa Interpol, no? If any foreign entity, no, comes to us and asks for an arrest, is it non-cooperation with them if we say, may provisional arrest, we have him in custody, but a Philippine judge has to decide whether or not we can turn him over to you?
If I may, Your Honor, international conventions actually respect compliance with the domestic laws. Even the Rome Statute, in the cooperation, the requirement is application of the laws of the country, of the custodial state. So it's up to the custodial state how to comply. There is no issue that we should comply with all these international obligations. That's not the dispute. The dispute is how to comply. And the manner of compliance is governed primarily, of course, by the Constitution, the highest law of the land.
And that's precisely why the diffusion notice stated provisional arrest or extradition, because so this is the parallelism of what I want to make. If the ICC knows na pwedeng provisional arrest or pwedeng extradition, they give it sa Interpol, hindi naman magagalit ang Interpol kung nagbigay silang red notice at ang sagot mo sa Interpol, we have him under custody but we cannot release him to you unless a Philippine court so orders or unless we give him enough time to seek legal remedy. Because of course, if the person doesn't seek legal remedy, para na rin yung sinurrender. Because the whole argument is that we're just helping Interpol. So I just wanted to clear that up. And again, ang hirap ng Facebook o media interview kasi hindi nakakasagot yung kabilang side. Eto, we can, I'll stop there, Madam Chair. So the point I want to make, and this is my personal stand, and I hope in a less emotional and more academic setting also, Mr. Secretaries, we can determine that because part of life, liberty, and ano ba yung ginamit natin? Iba kasi yung sa US di ba? Oh, sila may pursuit of happiness. Tayo, life, liberty, and property is the peace of mind. Di ba? The peace of mind na dito at least sa bansa ko, siyempre, hindi mo kontrolado kriminal. Diyan pumapasok, Sir Marbil, yung peace and order, assurance, etc. But at least alam ko, hindi ako pwedeng biglang arestuhin dito tapos i-try wherever. Di ba? Pero kung in doubt yon, di ba? So, for example, feel free to judge Senator Bato. But I made the same statement as the Senate President that if he's in the Senate, even if beyond 6 years yung kakasuhan sa kanya, kung hindi pa nagde-decide ang Supreme Court what constitutes surrender, etc., and he seeks legal remedy, we should give, under reasonable circumstances, sanctuary to him. We did that sa Batasan 5. I mean, I've never be pro, hindi ko na alam kung anong word ang gagamitin kasi baka sabihin red tagging, di ba? But the progressive left or whatever, di ba? During the time of President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, we were together, Secretary, di ba, na we weren't looking at their ideology, we weren't looking at guilty ba sila o hindi, we were looking at the institution and the, what you call this, the balancing ba na pag medyo sigurado na legal yung pag-arrest, etc., tayo mismo kumakausap sa kanila na lumabas na kayo dito. I think that's what happened with Senator De Lima. No? I'll stop there. Napakaraming issues. Mamaya pa na factual ang tanong ko. But, Madam Chair, if we can give the DOJ an opportunity to respond. Thank you very much, Attorney.
If you allow me, thank you very much, Attorney Medina. Thank you very much, Senator Cayetano. Before we go back to Secretary Remulla, if you will allow me, I have someone online, and given the difference in time, I'd appreciate inviting her. We'd like to recognize the Vice President, Sara Duterte, please, online. Given the difference in time.
Senator Amy.
Yes, maraming salamat. At kung pwedeng ipaliwanag lamang ng ating Vice Presidente, kung bakit sinasabi ninyo na kidnapping or extraordinary rendition ang sinasabi. At gusto rin natin malaman yung tungkol sa warrant. Kayo na lang ang mag-umpisa. Salamat.
Opo, Senator Amy, may I be allowed to read a statement?
Yes, please. Please do so.
Okay, thank you. Apo. Mga kababayan, on March 11, 2025, former President Rodrigo Duterte was forcibly taken by the Philippine National Police upon his arrival at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. He was brought to Villamor Air Base, a military air base, detained for nearly 12 hours, and then flown out of the country on a private jet to The Hague, all allegedly because of a warrant issued by the International Criminal Court. This was patently an illegal arrest. This constitutes extraordinary rendition. A Filipino citizen, a former president, was taken into custody without a valid warrant issued by a Philippine court, without due process and without any legal basis under our laws. The Constitution is clear. Section 2, Article 3 of our Constitution explicitly states, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures of whatever nature or for any purpose shall be inviolable, and no search warrant or warrant of arrest shall issue except upon probable cause to be determined personally by the judge after examination under oath or affirmation of the complainant and the witnesses he may produce, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. This means that for an arrest to be lawful, it must be carried out pursuant to a warrant issued by a Filipino judge of a Philippine court. Nasaan po ang warrant of arrest na inisyu ng hukuman ng Pilipinas? Wala. Without a valid warrant from a Philippine court, this was at best a warrantless arrest. Under the rules of court, warrantless arrests are only permitted in 3 instances: in flagrante delicto, hot pursuit, and escaped prisoner. None of these circumstances applied to the case of the former president. So, what was the legal basis of his arrest? The authorities acted solely on an ICC warrant, a document that has no legal effect in the Philippines unless reviewed and validated by a Philippine court. In fact, even assuming without conceding that the government itself wished to recognize and enforce the ICC's warrant, it still violated the Rome Statute itself. Even by ICC standards, the former president should have been brought before a Philippine judge to determine the validity of his arrest before he was handed over to a foreign court. Under Article 59 of the Rome Statute, a state party which has received a request for arrest and surrender shall immediately take steps to arrest the person in question in accordance with its laws and the provisions of Part 9, and shall bring that person before the competent judicial authority in that state. Yan ang sinasabi ko paulit-ulit nung nasa labas ako ng gate ng Villamor Air Base. And why was this not done? If they claim to abide by international law and standards, then why did they conveniently choose to ignore this provision? The fact remains that we are no longer a state party to the Rome Statute. We are no longer a member of the ICC. In fact, in a letter dated December 15, 2023, the President himself wrote to me, with respect to your concerns, legal or otherwise, on the investigation to be conducted by the International Criminal Court into the previous administration's war on drugs, I remain steadfast in my resolve that the jurisdiction of the ICC over the Republic of the Philippines after the effectivity of its withdrawal therefrom is very much in question. To this end, this government will not assist the ICC in any way, shape, or form. So if the government itself has declared non-cooperation with the ICC, why did the PNP violate this very policy and enforce a foreign warrant? Even granting for the sake of argument that we have some duty to cooperate with either the ICC or Interpol, does that duty override the fundamental rights of every Filipino enshrined in our Constitution? What happened on March 11, 2025 is not just about one man. It is about all of us. It is about the country. If a former president can be taken without due process, what stops them from doing the same to any other Filipino? Therefore, we must dare to ask more questions. Under whose authority did the PNP act? Why did they enforce a foreign warrant without the Philippine court order? Why didn't they at least bring PRRD before a judge as required by the Rome Statute itself? Even more disturbing is the silence of the armed forces of the Philippines. Why did the AFP stand idly by while a former commander-in-chief was taken from a military base under questionable circumstances? How could they allow a foreign tribunal to override on our constitutional guarantees? We have now lost a former president. I pray that we do not lose the country next. Your Honor, Senators Cayetano and Marcos and other senators present, alam naman natin lahat at alam nila na mali ang ginawa nila. Ginawa nila yon just to demolish political opponents. This is all about politics. The administration is using government resources, the ICC, to demolish the opposition. Wala na tayong argument. Mali ang ginawa. Ang tanong ngayon, ano ang gagawin natin para maibalik ang dating Pangulo sa Pilipinas? Kasi nag-iisa ako ngayon dito na gumagawa ng paraan para maibalik ang ating dating Pangulo sa ating bayan. Thank you.
Maraming salamat sa ating Vice Presidente at hindi kayo nag-iisa. Lahat tayo ay naghahanap ng solusyon sa napakakomplikadong pangyayari. Ano sa palagay mo yung nakita ninyong ICC warrant? Kailan ba ipinakita? May sinabi si Counsel o Attorney Medialdea na hindi daw pinakita kay Pangulo Duterte hanggang sa kahuli-hulihan at redacted form pa daw. Tama po ba yun?
Yes, Honorable Senator Marcos, ang nangyari kasi, merong ICC warrant. It was diffused to Interpol. It was given to Philippine authorities. Hindi siya nagkaroon ng red notice. Kaya yung ibang bansa, hindi nila alam o wala silang notice na merong ganong warrant. Ang nangyari, ICC, Interpol binigay sa Philippine authorities. And the Philippine authorities or the Philippine National Police, in-implement nila yung warrant diretso doon sa akusado, hindi nila dinala sa korte natin dyan sa ating bansa.
Tama po. At yan ang pinag-uusapan namin kanina ni Executive Director Alcantara ng Transnational Crime na ang pinadala lamang ay isang diffusion. Ito ang kauna-unahang pagkakataon na ang warrant of arrest was honored by a member state. Samantalang diffusion pa lang to, wala pang compliance review, wala pang ibinibigay sa secretariat ng Interpol, walang task force yung Interpol at walang kaalam-alam yung commissioner ng Interpol. Ang sabi nga ng Interpol, si Presidente Duterte ay hindi wanted ng Interpol. Wanted daw siya ng ICC. Pinadala lang daw sa kanila. As a matter of fact, under Article 97, Section 4 of Interpol's own rules on the processing of data, it is very clear that there are so many requirements before any action can be taken. Kung pwede, ipakita natin ang itsura ng isang diffusion versus isang red notice. Ibang-iba po yun. Ni walang red notice at yung diffusion, parang sabi nga ni VP, parang tinimbre lang sa mga kasama sa Interpol ng mga miyembro. Hindi dinaan sa mismong review. So, nais natin pag-usapan at tanungin kay Executive Director, tama po ba yun? Diffusion is something not yet verified per the articles on processing data. Tama po ba yun? Kasi yan ang rules ng Interpol, hindi po ba?
Ang diffusion po ay sa Article 97 ng Rules on Processing of Data is a standardized request
Tama.
to arrest, detain, or restrict movement
Right.
of accused. Ito,
Tama, pero hindi
Tama po.
hindi pa siya verified, hindi pa siya naimbestiga at hindi pa nailalagay bilang opisyal. Wala pang task force, wala
po
pang
yan, tama po.
compliance review.
Pero hindi po ibig sabihin noon na wala siyang value.
Pero
Pareho po,
mismo yung Interpol, sinasabi po sa atin na first time daw na yung member state agad-agad in-acknowledge. Wala pa namang kaalam-alam. Ang mismong Interpol Secretariat, walang kamuang-muang kasi between states lang to, ICC lang at Interpol.
whether it is a red notice or wanted person diffusion, obligado po tayong mag-comply. Hence, our job in the NCB is to distribute the diffusion notice.
Nandyan, no? Pinapakita natin yung red notice sample versus yung diffusion order. Ibang-iba po, di ba, yung
Magkaiba
itsura?
po, magkaiba po.
Magkaiba,
Pero-
yung kay Arnie Teves yan, tsaka ito kay PRRD, ibang-iba po.
Magkaiba po.
Talagang hindi sila.
Magkaiba
So,
po.
admitido po ninyo, walang red notice.
Yung red notice po, wala po siyang red notice.
Walang dumating, ano?
Merong tinatawag po na
O, tama.
Red
so,
diffusion.
kung ganun, sinasabi, tulad ng sinabi ni VP, maobligasyon ang ating pamahalaan mag-cooperate, tumulong sa lahat ng request. Eh, yung request, hindi naman ang galing sa Interpol eh. Pinapaliwanag nga ng Interpol. Hindi naman amin wanted yan. Ang sinasabi, Philippines is obliged to cooperate when in fact it came from ICC. Paulit-ulit tayo kanina sa ICC, walang jurisdiction dito sa Pilipinas. Ba't natin kinikilala? FPRRD was not wanted by Interpol. It was neither verified or approved. Hanapin mo sa buong database ng Interpol, walang lumalabas. Hanggang ngayon, it's not there. Read out the email address from the letter. Nakita mo yung letter? ICC ang nakasulat. Walang Interpol kahit sa mismong diffusion. Eh anong obligasyon ng Pilipinas? Kapag hindi tayo nag-comply sa isang diffusion, anong mangyayari sa atin? Hindi na tayo bahagi ng Interpol? Paparusahan tayo? May parusa po ba?
Not necessarily. Hindi po ganon.
Kapag diffusion, what will happen?
Gaya po na nasabi ko kanina, ang diffusion po at requesting for looking for wanted persons, pareho lang po na ng red notice.
Hindi po pareho yun. Ang
hindi lang po siya,
liwanag
ang
nito.
pagkakaiba po niya,
Kababasa mo lang ng Article 97, pambihira ka naman,
Opo.
sir.
may pagkakaiba nga po eh.
Kaya
Kasi
nga.
yung red notice has to be processed by the
Pero di ba yung kay
notices.
Congressman Arnie Teves, red notice na. Ayan, dinadaan pa rin sa proseso ng maliit at mahirap na bansa katulad ng Timor-Leste. Ayaw pa rin nila pumayag. Dahil ang sabi nila, dadaan muna ito sa korte natin. Ngayon tayo, lumundag tayo sa diffusion. Ano bang commitment natin? Anong mangyayari sa atin? Sinabi na natin, ICC has no jurisdiction. Tapos, ICC warrant has no effect. Tama ba yun? E di ano ngayon yung Interpol? May obligasyon ba tayo sa Interpol? Diffusion pa lang to.
Obligado po. Obligado.
Bakit obligado? Anong mangyayari kung di tayo sumunod?
Katulad din po yan ng mga ibang red notices na hindi natin nakukuha, but obligado rin po tayo.
Ano nga mangyayari? Anong parusa? Papaluin ba tayo? Tatanggalin ba tayo sa Interpol? Iisnabi na tayo ng buong kapulisan ng buong mundo?
Hindi ko po masasagot yung gagawin ng Interpol sa atin, but masasabi ko po we have to comply with both the diffusion and the red notice.
You have to.
We need to.
At
we
the
need
risk
to.
of what sanction?
We need to. We need to. Yan po yung we
Okay.
exert our maximum effort to comply with those requests.
Nakakagulat lang po dahil kasi eto nga may obligasyon daw pero diffusion lang to at sabi ng Interpol first time daw nga nila na diffusion pa lang lumundag na at inaresto na kagad. Pero parang hindi naman to biglaan kasi General Marbil may memo kayo ng March 10, di po ba? May memo kayo sa kapulisan na mag-mobilize na agad-agad. Libo-libong pulis ang pinamobilize kahit hindi pa ninyo alam na may warrant. Sabi ninyo, hindi ninyo alam Asan yung memo? Nariyan kanina, di ba? Aalala po ba ninyo yung memo na yan?
But anyway, ma'am,
Hindi. Yung memo, tama po ba yan o mali yung binigay sa amin? 10 po ang nakasulat na date. Tama po ba yan?
ma'am, tama po yan, no? Madam Chair, no? Ang preparation namin, although sabi ko nga, narinig po namin na there will be possible na lumabas po yung warrant based on sa mga dumadating na news, it's standard procedure po ng PNP na mag-prepare po in case that's a part of our planning process.
Libo-libo ang minobilize na kapulisan, gumastos ang buong pamahalaan para lamang sa isang chismis galing sa Hong Kong. Sabi po ni Secretary John Vic na chismis lang naman ang umabot sa kanila. Hindi naman sila nakatanggap ng anumang katibayan
Ma'am, it's a standard, Madam Chair, it's a standard procedure ng Philippine National Police kay chismis. So we have to prepare and plan kung ano pong mangyayari eventualities po.
7,000 po? Base sa chismis? Wala kayong
No,
alam?
we don't have any record ng 7,000. I believe
Yun ang
ito-
pinagmalaki sa dyaryo. Hanggang dyaryo lang naman kami.
Ma'am, wala po kami nilalabas ng ganong karaming tao. I guess it's more of yung pinapilaki. But I doubt with this number, ito lang po yung nilabas po namin tao.
Okay. So, ilan ang minobilize ninyo kung sinasabi niyo labis-labis naman ang 7,000? Sa tingin ko, labis-labis. Isipin mo, chismis lang.
Ma'am, based on the numbers, more or less it's a total of 156. Yun lang po yung ano namin. But sabi ko nga doon, it's just a normal procedure.
May
po
mga
na-
memo pa na sumunod dyan. Alam naman ninyo yun. Ito lang yung pinakauna.
Madam Chair, I have to check po yung numbers ng tao natin.
Bakit sinabi 7,000? Nagulat naman kami. Okay lang, pero mabalik dito sa ICC warrant, walang red notice at pati yung Timor-Leste, inisnab yung red notice, ang atin lang diffusion. Sa diffusion, ang liwaliwanag, kailangan extradition, kailangan in conformity with national laws. I think we've established that, and without pounding it into the ground, can we ask now, ipakita muna natin ang video ni Secretary Remulla or yung transcript dun sa budget hearing po nung nakaraang taon. Ang liwaliwanag po at maganda po ang paliwanag ni Secretary Remulla Boying. Opo.
But when it comes to them going into the country, kung gusto nila pumasok dito upang manghuhuli at magpasagawa ng warrant na kanila pong na-issue po siguro ng ICC pagdating ng panahon, kailangan po itong dumaan sa ating court system. Ito po ay kinakailangan ng isang action to enforce a warrant, action to enforce a judgment. Kailangan po dumaan yan sa ating court system. Kaya hindi ho namin pakikialaman kasi yan po trabaho na ng Interpol kung talagang gusto nilang habulin yung tao na nasasaktal. Yung sabihin natin, nag-issue po na warrant of arrest ng ICC, gusto mong enforce ng Interpol dito, pero para ho ito ay matuloy at hindi ho magkaroon ng kasuhan, kinakailangan pumunta muna sila sa korte natin. There's some things that the Supreme Court would be looking at if what was alleged in the crime would have happened if we were still members of the ICC. That is one of the things that can be of importance to the courts when they do enforce a warrant, or if they will actually allow a warrant to be served in our country from an international tribunal. Ang problema nga ho ay meron kong sinasabi yung mga kaibigan natin na well-meaning naman. May 200 families daw na gustong magreklamo pero ang hawak daw nila 8. Pero sa 8, ang makakausap nyo 2 lang. Tapos yung 2 pa, wala pang ibibigay na totoong ebidensya. Napakahirap po talaga maghabol. Ang ano nga yung nag-hearing po ang Human Rights Committee ng Kongreso tungkol dito. At ang lumalabas po talaga, yung mga nangyari po kasing EJK nung panahon na yon, eh wala hong police report eh. Walang police blotter, wala hong record. Kaya napakahirap po maghabol talaga.
Ayun. Napakaliwanag at napakaganda ng paliwanag ni Secretary Boying na sa ICC man yan, Interpol man yan, dadaan yan sa Korteng Pilipino.
Ma'am, ano yan eh? Ang general rule talaga, pag may foreign judgment, you have to enforce it in court. However, ito hong nangyaring ito, ang ginamit po namin dito, Section 17 ng Republic Act
9851.
9851. Pwede ko hong basahin, ma'am? Can I read the provision
I think
into the
you can
record?
put it on...
into the record. But may I read it into the record, ma'am? Thank you. In the interest of
Andito naman
justice,
sa atin eh.
in the interest of justice, the relevant Philippine authorities may dispense with the investigation or prosecution of a crime punishable under this act if another court or international tribunal is already conducting the investigation or undertaking the prosecution of such crime. Instead, the authorities may surrender or extradite suspected or accused persons in the Philippines to the appropriate international court, if any, or to another state pursuant to the applicable extradition laws and treaties. That is Section 17 of Republic Act 9851. So
Yes.
ito pa yung option na sinasabi ko kanina.
Yes, at yan yung pinag-uusapan natin kay Attorney Medina. Baka ibig ninyo mag-comment kasi mahaba po yung sinulat ninyo tungkol dyan. 9851, Section 17, at saka si Senator Cayetano. Unahin po natin na unang ma-recognize si Attorney Medina lang po. Lahat tayo, kabisado natin yung 9851, alam natin yung Section 17, para rin yung Rome Statute, Article 59, sa panahong to na memorize na nating lahat. Attorney po.
Thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chair. And with all due respect to our hardworking, brilliant Secretary of Justice, I beg to disagree. Purely on legal grounds. Again, constitutional, doctrine of constitutional supremacy. Whatever right that is granted by the Constitution cannot be diminished or be in derogation, cannot be diminished or lessened or stripped away by any statute. So if the Constitution guarantees that if a person is to be expelled from the Philippine territory by whatever means, a lawful order of the court is required. That grant that grant of the Constitution, that protection of the Constitution, cannot be lessened by any statute. So that in that case, 9851. So we have to interpret 9851 in accordance with the broad protection of the Constitution, which means that if you will surrender without judicial proceedings, that would be a violation. So there will be only a very narrow instance, there will be limited instances when surrender can be valid without judicial process. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat.
Senator Cayetano, I think you wish to add something.
When the SOJ was speaking, yung una kong temptation was to say that, as you said, no, evolution, legal theory, and for the public, no, to be fair, diba, that happens when lawyers meet, diba, na ito yung una kong theory, ito yung application, especially if there's no jurisprudence na prevailing. And even if there's jurisprudence, you can challenge that, of course, but the law enforcers have to follow prevailing jurisprudence. So kanina, what I was tempted to do is to ask you that, you know, when tempers are down and emotions are way, let's see which theory is better. No, whether you need a foreign, when a foreign judgment or foreign arrest warrant from a foreign court or different countries here, whether we need court order or pwedeng surrender. Having said that, when I was thinking about it, what about, sir, this situation? So let's say that law authorizes the government to surrender a Philippine citizen. But if that Philippine citizen is asking for his day in court in a Philippine court, kasi kung, again, hindi ko nakita yung buong video, but nakita ko yung part, I think this is more from the videos na pinost allegedly taken by Kitty Duterte, di ba? But I just saw portions. So isang portion doon, nung una sinabi kay former President Duterte na sa Hague ka dadalhin, sabi niya, patayin niyo na lang ako or you'll have to kill me. I'm paraphrasing. No, but ang point ko, if a person says that, that means he's disputing it. So my point, assuming for the sake of argument, as the state, the Philippine government, can choose Article 17 to surrender, does that take away from the person being arrested the legal remedy of questioning the action of the executive before Philippine courts?
The option is always there if it can be done. But under the circumstances, it could not be done.
So no effort was made to get any warrant from a Filipino court?
I think that they were, the whole time that everything was happening until the evening, there were even attempts to show fake orders of the courts saying that there is a TRO on the action of the PNP.
Yes,
I believe that
news.
this was being showed by E.S. Medjaldea. Am I correct, General Torre? Yes. E.S. Medjaldea was showing them text messages that there was a TRO. So they were attempting, they were trying their judicial option. But we already decided It was already decided that
I think that's not
that Section
relevant,
17
Secretary.
of Republic Act 9851 will be the one used, the surrender part.
May I
Sige.
clarify them? Just that part,
Yes,
no?
Senator Cayetano.
So we agree, di ba, na yun, ICC or whoever may, or extradition, or basta under that law, no? Dumating dito, inarrest, sabi nung Pilipinong inaresto, okay, no problem, I'll face court there, dalhin niyo ako doon. So, walang problema yung surrender, di ba? Kasi he or she surrendered to government, government surrendered under the definition ng surrender under that law, Section 17. But sabi mo, what was your exact word, sir? If possible, or if, ang sabi mo, nung tinanong ko SOJ na, can that person have the opportunity to question before a Philippine court?
If it's done, it can be done.
Yes.
Some people have been managed to get court orders in a matter
Yes.
of hours.
But
Only in this case, wala akong nangyari.
Yes, but yun nga ang point ko. Isn't the better rule, we give them reasonable time to do that? So that we don't deprive...
Ma'am, excuse me lang kasi there is a pending petition for habeas corpus in the Supreme Court.
Okay.
We might be stepping already on
So having
the
said
ground that, we have to
So we leave
take
it at
next week.
that. We have no desire to be
Yeah.
sub judice. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Madam
For
Chair,
the
can
reminder.
I
Yes.
just say this? Sir, I will respect that because nga mabigat di ba? Emotionally, legally. But can you study that part? Just for future cases, di ba?
Of course.
And when we say study, the defense lawyer will say 30 days, 6 months is reasonable. Of course, the law enforcement has to do its job. So, in case we come up with a guidance, you could return it to us, but hindi kami magpasa ng batas. But I'd answer the same na sinabi mo ngayon. If I file a draft bill defining that, baka sabihin ng court, see, you admit na pwede pala. So I also don't want to somehow interfere or influence the Supreme Court in this decision. But may I just put it at your table na ano yung reasonable for a Filipino citizen to go to court in case nga this happens. And it's valid nga kasi nga if the ICC issues whether it's Senator Bato or any of our generals or any member of the AFP, I'd like them to be able to go to court to question whatever identity, validity of etc.
Maybe, Your Honor, we have to look at the perspective of how long this took for the ICC to come up with a warrant. This did not happen overnight. I believe that even Senator Bato has told you that he has received written interrogatories coming from the ICC. He's being given his day to explain whatever side he has on the ICC controversy.
Kaya
Senator Bato himself has answered that. I'm sure the former president was given the chance by the ICC. I mean, I don't think that 125 countries would agree to bully somebody and not give him a chance to explain. I think
Chair.
that it goes beyond convention that we will allow this to happen.
Yes, Secretary
Chair.
and Senator Cayetano.
I think I'd like to agree to disagree with you on that part. No, kasi yung questions ko later on are factual. Kasi if you look, I don't know if it was the Solgen, we asked the ICC to pause, to stop. Diba? And number two, iba kasi yung sa akin na mag-explain ka sa Philippine court at mag-explain ka doon. And lastly, sir, I get your point, 125 countries. But President Trump, the US President just said na panay politika ang ICC, sinanction niya and everything. So I can also make the same agreement. US is the greatest country in the world, next to the Philippines, of course. The US is the land of the free. The US ganyan. So if the US thinks the ICC. So I'm respecting your opinion na fair ang ICC, 25, etc. No? However, yun nga ang point ko. The President is almost 80 years old. If the case take out jurisdiction, if the case takes about 6 years, he'll be 86. If it takes 8 years, 88. Kung si Enrile yun, okay lang. When he gets there at 80, he'll be out at 88. He's 101 years old. I'm not saying okay lang ipadala si Enrile. I'm saying he's blessed with longevity and di ba sa LEDAC naglalabi pa nagano ko anong tingin niyan tama. But my point is, sir, yung ako personally naghahalo na yung legal at emotion pag sinabing nandun na siya, dun siya magpaliwanag. Kasi nga Pilipino na pinadala doon. But I'll agree to disagree with you there and stop there, Madam.
Maraming salamat at nais ko lang balikan itong sinasabi natin. Kung talagang nagpursige ang Pilipinas na pumunta sa korte dito sa lokal, sa Philippine Court, may idadagdag yata si VP diyan sa komentaryo tungkol dito kung bakit hindi pinadaan pa sa Filipino Court. Samantalang marami naman tayong korte, ang ating mga huwes ay magagaling. Yes, please, VP po.
Yes, thank you, Senator Marcos. Ang gusto ko lang gawin is, unang-una, meron kasing document galing sa ating Pangulo papunta sa akin na sulat, no, na lumabas dahil kinuha siya sa isang lawyers group chat. Hindi namin alam kung sino ang kumuha at inilabas siya. Gusto ko lang na isubmit ito as part of the records of this hearing kasi as a Filipino and as a public official, binasa ko yung ang ating protesta doon sa ICC at yung desisyon ng ICC. At nakita ko na wala talagang jurisdiction. Pero alam ko na merong ginagawang investigation dahil nabibigyan kami ng data or information galing sa mga law offices na ginagamit dyan sa loob ng Pilipinas sa pag-interview ng witnesses. Kaya kinausap ko, unang-una, ang Secretary of Justice noon. At dahil hindi paiba-iba yung sagot niya sa mga tanong ko, ang ginawa ko ay dumiretso ako sa Pangulo. Kaya yon, nabigyan ako ng sagot ng Pangulo at gusto kong basahin ang kabuuan ng sulat. Nakalagay dito, Dear Vice President Duterte, this is reference to your letter of 4 December 2023 as well as similar letters sent to members of the Cabinet, namely Secretary Jesus Crispin C. Remulla of the Department of Justice and Solicitor General Menardo Guevara on even date. With respect to your concerns, legal or otherwise, on the investigation to be conducted by the ICC into the previous administration's war on drugs, I remain steadfast in my resolve that the jurisdiction of the ICC over the Philippines after the effectivity of its withdrawal therefrom is very much in question. To this end, this government will not assist the ICC in any way, shape, or form. I am certain that all the members of my cabinet, including yourself, will echo my views on this matter. As it is my sworn duty, I will continue to defend and assert the sovereignty of the Republic of the Philippines at all times. Ngayon, naririnig ko po sinasabi ng ating Secretary of Justice na mabibigyan siya ng panahon na makasagot sa loob ng ICC. And that is clearly the Philippine government's position that there is cooperation with ICC. So kinikilala na nila ngayon yung jurisdiction ng ICC na wala naman kasi talaga. Because this is an extraordinary case of extraordinary rendition. At pangalawa, Senator Amy, gusto ko na sumagot ang Armed Forces of the Philippines kung bakit nila pinayagan na mangyari ito. Because under the law, the Presidential Security Command is in charge of the security of former presidents. So bakit nila hinayaan na mangyari ito sa isang dating Pangulo ng ating bayan? And finally, I request that I leave the meeting, the hearing, because I have to prepare for meetings as well here this morning at 9 a.m. Thank you very much, our honorable senators, mga kababayan.
Maraming salamat, VP. Maitatanong lang, kailan yung date nung sinasabi mong sulat mula sa Pangulo natin?
Ang date ng kanyang sulat ay December 15, 2023.
2023. Iba pang sulat pala ito. At maraming salamat at hihingin natin ang sagot ng ating AFP tungkol sa PSG at yung okasyon sa Villamor. Maraming salamat, VP. Kung may mga iba pang mga hearing, sana makadalo ka rin. Thank you.
Opo, salamat.
Okay, I think that's posited to Secretary Chodoro. Nawala
Yes,
na
ma'am.
yata si General Larida.
No, ma'am, I will answer all the questions regarding the armed forces of the Philippines. As we said, we were deputized to support the Philippine National Police. And it is part of the constitutional duty of the armed forces to follow processes. And if we were to question those orders, even under color of law, under color of right, then it would amount to the armed forces acting unilaterally on its own, which is anathema to civilian authority over the military. As we said, our jurisdiction ends in providing support to the Philippine National Police. And with respect to the Presidential Security Command, that is a highly secure unit, and operational security is strictly followed. That ends my response, Your Honor.
Yes, nakakapagtaka lang kasi facility ninyo yung Villamor. Ang inimbita namin yung Air Force. Wala po rito. Bakit?
Your Honor, because of the fact that we will not go into operational details, and I made the call that the armed forces will answer in the light of our supporting role and not principal role to the Philippine National Police.
Yes, pero narito si General Larida. Anong nais niya yung sabihin?
Madam Chair, I defer to the wisdom of the Honorable Secretary of National Defense. That is, the AFP's role is to support the Philippine National Police. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Kahit sa Villamor mismo. Kahit sa lugar ninyo mismo, kampo ninyo eh.
Yes, sir. Yes, Madam Chair.
Ganon. O sige, ganun ng sagot. So, okay. Balikan po natin itong enforceability ng ICC warrant. Sa pakiwari ba ninyo yung nasa constitution natin, yung sinasaad ulit-ulit ng ating Professor Medina, Article 3, Section 2, na kinakailangan may arrest warrant issued upon discovery of probable cause by a judge, a Filipino judge. Sa palagay ba ninyo, yung judge dito kasama na yung ICC judge?
Ma'am, we invoke the sub judice rule, ma'am. We cannot answer any more questions relating to the arrest.
So sa palagay ninyo, yung ICC, does it have any judicial power in the Philippines? Kasi di ba yung judicial power sa atin, ang klaro-klaro naman, Article 8, ang liwanag, di ba? Supreme Court and such lower courts, di ba?
Recognized by the Republic Act 9851.
Anong recognized ng 9851? Wala naman sinabi doon tungkol sa judicial.
International Tribunal.
Sorry?
International Tribunal, ma'am. Can I read the provision again into the record?
No, we've read it and
Yes.
we're all very, very familiar.
Yes.
Opo. So, ang sinasabi nyo, ICC hindi po kasama. Yun lang, yes or no lang po.
Basta sinabi yung International Tribunal, it belongs to that class, ma'am.
Sa palagay ninyo, International Tribunal, sakop na yung ICC. Kahit
Sakop po, sakop. Ito, malinaw po eh.
Pero
Oh.
hindi na tayo member, di ba? Sabi ng DFA.
Hindi ho naman yung membership ang pinag-uusapan dito eh. Ang pinag-uusapan po rito, crimes against humanity. International humanitarian law.
Pero nagkasundo na tayo.
Murder po ito, murder, executions, extrajudicial killings, Ito po yung sinasakop ng IHL mo.
Sige, balik tayo sa Prosecutor General kasi agree to disagree na naman tayo. Even if Secretary Remulla in his budget hearing asserted that a local court action was necessary in order to enforce an ICC warrant, you proceeded to take part in the serving of the warrant and arresting PRRD. Andito ba yung prosecutor natin?
Ma'am, he had to attend to something very important in the office. That's why I was the one who
So you
volunteered to go
confirm
there.
that even though there was no local court action, you went ahead with this anyway?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, of course you can.
Confirm. But ma'am, can we lessen our discussion on this because it's sub judice, ma'am. It's a subject of a habeas corpus case in the Supreme Court, which the children of the former President Duterte themselves filed.
Yes, we're well aware of the consolidated cases. Was this warrant presented to PRRD at the time he was arrested? Kasi may katanungan, di ba? At may sinasabi si Attorney Medialdea na hindi daw pinakita sa Pangulo. Pwede bang may sumagot? Si General Torre, mukhang kabisado niya. Siya yung nasa video eh.
Again, ma'am?
Hindi, yung warrant nung natanggap ninyo yung warrant, naipakita ba yung ICC warrant sa Pangulo, kay Pangulo Duterte? Pinakita ba ninyo sa kanya? Nung inaresto siya, di ba, obligado kayo magpakita ng warrant.
Yes, ma'am.
Anong pinakita nyo?
Right at the tube, ma'am, the Yusik Nikiti, together with PG Fadulyon, together with me, gave them the electronic copy through retired General Muntiagudo, ma'am, because that's their condition. They don't recognize the diffusion order. They really want to have a copy of the warrant. That's why soft copy was given to them on the tube. And a hard copy was printed and later on received by Attorney Delgra in the 250th wing, sir. 250th wing, ma'am.
May pagkakataon ba si former president na basahin to? Kasi ang pagkaintindi, hindi. Tingnan natin muna yung video kasi mas maliwanag doon.
Pag umaresto ka ng tao, pag inaresto ka ng pulis, pwedeng hindi dala ng pulis ang warrant mo? Pwede. Sasabihin lang ng pulis kayo, oy, arestado ka, may warrant ka. Nasaan ang warrant? Doon sa istasyon, halika na. That's perfectly legal. Pag umaresto ka ng tao, pag inaresto ka ng pulis, pwedeng hindi dala ng pulis.
So ang sabi po ninyo, hindi naman kailangan yung warrant eh, kaya hindi ninyo pinakita. Tama po ba yun?
Ma'am, that is a very, very different interview in the aftermath. But I'm talking of...
Anong pinag-uusapan sa interview?
And I'm talking about we have already veered on the general rules on the warrantless, on the service of the warrants. Because during the time, and up to this time, there are still a lot of people saying that I'm wrong in there, that you cannot arrest a person with a warrant that you know as a person has a warrant, yet you cannot serve it without the physical warrant. So, all the lawyers know here
Diba ang
that
sabi,
I'm right there.
Kailangan ng warrant as soon as practicable. At hinihingi talaga ni former president. Di ba hinihingi niya? Hinihingi ng abogado niya, asan yung warrant? Tama, di ba hinihingi
Yes,
nila?
ma'am.
Anong pinakita nyo?
We gave them the electronic copy of the warrant and it was given to them by Yusek Nikiti together with PG Fadulyon. It was received by
Yung
General
warrant, anong klase yung
Monteagudo.
itsura ng warrant? ICC, Interpol?
It's an ICC warrant, ma'am.
ICC warrant.
Yes, ma'am. That was directed to the Interpol. That was the attachment of the diffusion order.
Pero ayon sa ating batas, di ba, napakaliwanag naman na yung court o judge, kinakailangan Pilipino. Di naman sakop nun yung Interpol, yung ICC. Bakit naging warrant rin sa Pilipinas yun?
I will defer the answering to that question to the DOJ, ma'am, because I was with the DOJ during the time, and it was the DOJ.
Hindi nandun si
used-
Prosecutor Fadul yun Ikaw naman
Yes, ma'am.
bumasa ng Miranda rights, hindi man lang yung prosecutor. Tinikoberan mo na yung papel ng DOJ, kaya sumagot ka ngayon.
Ma'am, we're talking situation in the tube.
Hindi, sinabi mo kasi, ang liwaliwanag, sinabi mo, hindi naman kailangan ng warrant eh.
It's a different matter, ma'am. Altogether different matter.
Bakit? Ilang warrant ba yan?
One warrant, but different. That question on the interview is a different situation, ma'am.
So, kailan mo pinakita yung warrant? Yung sinasabi mo electronic copy?
The first time, ma'am, it is not
At kanino?
me. It was not me who showed the warrant. It was Yusek Nikiti together with PG Fadulyon, together with me there in the tube of the plane. The former president is still there inside the plane. It was given to retired General Monte Agudo, who is with the party. And because during the time, E.S. Mijaldea and the wife and Attorney Delgra had already went back inside the plane and told us, hindi kami lalabas kung wala kayong maipakitang warrant.
Kaya nga, so, when was the accused finally shown the warrant of arrest? Di ba dapat as soon as practicable ang sinasabi? Kailan mo pinakita mismo kay former president?
I believe, ma'am, the electronic copy is already acceptable now in the rules of court.
Yun na nga, pero pinakita mo ba kay Presidente Duterte?
It was not me who they invited inside the plane. It was the PCTC through General Alcantara, whom they invited inside the plane, showing to them and explaining to them the warrant.
Ganun ba? Napaliwanag ba ninyo, Executive Director Alcantara? Kasi parang ang bilis-bilis lang naman ninyo dun sa eroplano. Ang nakita naming final warrant, 15 pages po. Ganun lang kabilis na nabasa
Tama po yung
kaagad?
15 pages po, pero i-present po namin kay President Duterte na nasa 250.
Nabasa niya lahat, 15 pages? Ang bilis-bilis lang lumabas eh.
Hindi po niya nabasa yan.
Hindi niya nabasa.
Hindi niya.
So, bakit
Doon po namin present sa kanya
kaya nga, pero ba't hindi niyo pinagbigyan na basahin? Kasi karapatan talaga ng akusado at ng arestado yan, di ba?
At that point in time, ang may kopya po ng warrant ay si General Alex Monteagudo. Nagbabapiring po sa telepono niya. Matagal pong mabuo dahil
Siyempre, nasa airport. Tapos nasa loob ng aeroplano. Madaling sabi.
Kaya nga po nag-print kami ng hard copy. So pagdating po sa 250, doon na binigay sa kanila yung warrant.
Madam Chair, just on the warrant.
Yes, Senator Cayetano, please go ahead.
Just one insight on the warrant, and just to bolster my point kanina na bakit mas maganda na, or bakit essential for me my local court, no? If you look at paragraph 12, before you look at it, can anyone in the room here tell me, I know the former president was accused of extrajudicial killing, of crimes against humanity. Pag sinabi yung torture, pwede kasing bago mo patayin, di ba? Pwedeng emotional torture, pwede mong gulpihin torture. So, included na yan. But does anyone here, can anyone tell me here that during his 6 years and before that, he was accused of ordering or himself raping people? Di ba? I do remember malaking issue about his statements about a missionary who was raped, and inexplain niya yon na frustrated, galit siya. But is anyone here accusing the former president of raping or ordering the rape? Parang wala naman, di ba? Okay. If you look at, dahil walang, just for the record, Madam Chair, dahil wala naman nagtaas ng kamay or nagsabi, paragraph 12, the chamber notes that the prosecution alleges, let me say it again, the chamber notes that the prosecution alleges that some acts amounting to crimes against humanity of torture and rape under Article 7, subparagraphs 1 ba yan, F, 71, G of the statute were committed as a widespread and systematic attack against the civilian population. Ulitin ko the chamber notes that the prosecution alleges. So the prosecution in the ICC alleges that some acts amounting to crimes against humanity of torture and rape were committed as part of a widespread and systematic attack. For me, it's the first time I read that someone was accusing the president, the former government. But if you look at the last page of the warrant, or second to the last page, page 14, no? Issues a warrant of arrest. So for these reasons, the chamber hereby issues a warrant of arrest for Rodrigo Roa Duterte, born on 28 March 1945, for his alleged criminal responsibility pursuant to Article 25, Paragraph 3, Paragraph A of Statute for the Crime Against Humanity of Murder, pursuant to Article 7.1A, wala yung G na rape, committed in the Republic of Philippines during the relevant period as set forth in this warrant of arrest. So I just want to make this point, Madam Chair. So kung sa akin nangyari to, pupunta ako sa Philippine Court at sasabihin ko sa Philippine Court, Sir, makita mo naman, sa Marites at Chismis kinuha ng prosecutor ng ICC. Padadala mo ako doon, pinakamaikse, 4 to 6 years yung hearing, deprived of liberty. Yung prosecutor mismo nag-allege ng rape. The harshest critics of President Duterte accuse him of being insensitive to women, saying misogynist, masama yung etc. And I won't defend him there. It's on the record, di ba? And also accused him of being insensitive to a foreign national who was a missionary here who was raped. But I haven't heard na inaccuse siya ng rape or ordering rape. Ang alam ko nga, galit na galit siya pag ministreat yung mga kababaihan. So, dun pa lang, questioning ko to before a Philippine judge. Kasi, kawawa naman ako pag nandun. So that's my point. So, the second point I just want to make kay SOJ is, I personally will respect its sub judice because this case in the Supreme Court is so important. But just for the record, it's nag-rule na rin, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, nag-rule din ang Supreme Court dyan na we cannot stop the hearing or we can continue kahit na sub judice. But he's not asking naman to stop the hearing. He's just saying, can we be sensitive to that? Because they're going to have to put their position on paper and present it before the Supreme Court. So, mamaya, Madam Chair, more factual na lang yung mga tanong ko rather than issues para yung facts naman, SOJ is not naman under dispute, di ba? And will help us pa nga sa doon. But this is just an example. And I just read this morning, pero nagulat lang ako doon na yung prosecutor pala may ganun allegation, no? Oo.
Kaya nga nagkagulantaan. Palibasa, nakita natin yung warrant much later. Did any one of you, General Marbil, General Torre, meron ba kayong hawak na ICC warrant of arrest at the time of his arrest? Parang electronic copy lang, tapos pinakopya muna, tapos binigay na pagdating doon. Bakit ganun? Samantalang March 10 pa lang nagmo-mobilize na ng libu-libong pulis. Pagkatapos alam na natin na magkakaganito dahil nabalitaan na nga sa Hong Kong. Kung ganun, bakit walang warrant doon sa mismong pag-aresto? Electronic copy lamang at nagpa-imprenta pa. Ba't nagkaganon?
May I differ on the wisdom of the SOJ to explain on the legality of the electronic copy of the warrant, ma'am?
Hindi naman tinatanong yung legality. Okay lang yun. Ang tinatanong ko, bakit parang unprepared kayo samantalang prepared na si General Marbil?
Madam Chair, I just want to make clear na ang kabaho po ng police is really to assist po yung PCTC natin. Yun po yung and what we have is tama po yung sinasabing order ng diffusion. So ito po yung nangyari. We rely po dun sa PCTC, dun sa lahat ng mga documents that they need na gagamitin po dun sa effect ng arrest. Ito po yung ginawa po ng again, uulitin ko.
Dapat yung PCTC nagdala ng warrant. Ba't nga ba kayo walang warrant?
It was stated, ipapadala po through diplomatic channels Naka-state po yun
So, dapat diplomatic channel. Nangyari ba yon? Kung diplomatic channel yung DFA, ano ba nangyari sa warrant na yan? Sa dinami-dami ng handa ninyo, sa libo-libong pulis at sundalo na kinalampag, Wala bang nag-isip na kinakailangan dalhin yung warrant?
Your Honor, if I may, wala po kaming information o wala kaming natanggap at all.
Eh kayo naman sa PCTC, wala rin kayong natanggap?
We requested for a copy of the warrant and we got it the next day. Opo.
The next day being,
The warrant that came from the
kaya nga, what
the
day
system.
na?
The next day is 12 po, 12.
So, hindi rin ninyo na ipakita kay Presidente Duterte. Bale tama si General Torre na warrantless arresto.
Pinakita po namin yung hard copy sa 250 pero sa lawyers po natin pinigay.
Madam Chair, can I clarify?
Kasi ang sinasabi din na redacted copy lang ang binigay, hindi rin kompleto, kaya hindi nila mabuo. At yun nga, nagkagulatan,
Can I
bakit
clarify?
meron pa?
Can I clarify that, sir? It was a sealed warrant, correct? Hindi.
Hindi po. Electronic
hindi.
electronic yung nakuha po na
No. Ano ang
Department.
pinadala ng ICC? Kasi parang sa ibang news report, sabi sealed. Pag sealed kasi, hindi dadaan ng DFA yon. So yun nga ang question.
What was sealed, sir, was the warrant of arrest was sealed
Okay.
before March 11.
Yes. Tapos kanino, sir, pinadala? Sino magbubukas noon pag sealed?
When they demanded a copy of the warrant, we relied on our fail-safe mechanism. We have a fail-safe mechanism to make sure that the documents are secure in our possession. So it's the DOJ that produced the warrant.
Hindi sa may bias ako sa DFA, but I've worked with these people. Kasi pag sealed, may option na hindi padaanin sa kanila. At kahit pinadaan sa kanila, I don't think they have the authority to open it. Diba?
Yes, but we had to use our fail-safe because the PCTC could not produce the warrant, so we had to use our fail-safe.
But once naman it's opened by the proper authority who's allowed to open it, diba, to unseal it, then, syempre, Philippine law na. Ipapakita mo talaga dun sa na...
Yes, we showed it to the president and to his lawyers.
Teka, mapapaliwanag lang ako. Tell me candidly, at the time you apprehended PRRD, nung inaresto si former president, yung ICC warrant, nasa inyo na ba, General Torre? Yung totoo. Kasi you're under oath, alalahanin ko.
Yes, ma'am. It is with us.
It was already with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Electronic.
Yes, ma'am.
Electronic. Wala
Yes,
kayong
ma'am.
official copy?
Electronic
walang
copy, ma'am,
hard
given
copy?
electronic copy given to me by Yusek Nikiti of the DOJ, ma'am.
Sa DOJ. Sa inyo, kasi parang nagtuturoan kayo, sabi ninyo, na dapat yung PCTC ang nagbigay. Pero wala kayong binigay. Sabi ninyo, dapat DFA. Nalilito po ako.
Hindi po. Hindi po nagtuturoan. We had the copy of the warrant, not electronic copy of...
Dinami-dami
Yung
lang
sa
nag-aresto kay Presidente. Walang nag-isip na kinakailangan bigyan ng kopya na hard copy, opisyal, at talagang...
Binigyan po namin sa...
Saan? Saan at
250 po,
kailan?
binigyan po namin. Nung ma-print na po yung hard copy...
Saan yun?
Sa 250 po.
Sa Villamor?
Meron po, meron.
Ano yung 250 po?
Sa Villamor po, Villamor. Binigyan po siya ng kopya, hard copy po.
So, nandun. Anong oras?
About shortly before 12 po. Around 12, around noon at that time po.
Noon. Noon time? Naibigay ng noon time?
Opo.
Pero anong oras ba hiningi? Di ba napakaaga pa noon?
Humihingi po sila from the tube. Starting from the tube, humihingi na po
Anong
sila.
oras yun nung hihingi sila?
When they arrive po, it's about 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
Or,
So, 2 oras makalipas bago ninyo naibigay.
Ma'am, just to be clear.
Yes.
Just to be clear. General Torre, maybe you can explain the process of serving the electronic copy, which constitutes a legal form of serving the warrant. Yes, ma'am. After they disembarked, as I have learned from General Torre, they asked that it be postponed, that they be brought first to... Ano ba nangyari doon, General, pagkatapos doon?
They only disembarked when the electronic copy was produced and given to them. So, kaya sila lumabas. And when they step out of the plane, at the junction of the moving part of the tube, PG Fadulion met them and attempted to read the rights to President Duterte. And all of them said, pwede ba mamaya na yan at pa-diffuse muna natin ang tension. Doon na lang sa 250th Airlift Wing. So, we acceded to that request. We arrived at the 250th Airlift Wing. They were given refreshments. They were allowed to refresh. They were allowed to, para generally pababain lang ang tension ng lahat. And then we, after an hour or two, we returned, and that was the video that you saw when I was reading the rights in the cell phone, which basically it's memorized already. So just a formality, and then they asked at that juncture, they asked for the written, they want a printed copy. So I went out of the room, stepped out of the room, printed it, and gave it to them.
Okay, yung printed copy, may allegation na redacted copy daw to. Hindi daw kumpleto, hindi daw buo. Parang simplified lang or pinaiklian. Tama ba? O buong buo?
Buong buo yun, ma'am. It was
Ilang pahina?
15 pages.
Yung 15 pages na kumakalat ngayon,
Yes,
yun na
ma'am.
yun?
Yes,
So yun
ma'am.
din ang naibigay doon sa Villamor?
Yes, ma'am. That was properly received by Attorney Delgra in a signed
So Attorney
receiving copy.
Delgra.
Yes, ma'am.
Pero nakita ko sa ating video na iba ang pangyayari tungkol sa abogado. Pwede bang panoorin natin?
Kanina pa eh. Hindi naman lahat, ilan ang hinuli ngayong araw na to, sir? Sa iba-ibang mga krimen. Ilan ang binigyan ng ganitong...
Kasi nandito kayo lahat eh. Nag-iisang
Ilan ang binigyan ng ganitong...
dami krimen sa labas.
Nandito kayo namin.
Sir, hindi kami humingi ng pabor. Just invoke Article 59. Bakit hindi yan magawa-gawa?
Attorney, you will be
That's precisely the point that I'm saying. That's precisely
Please lang, bawal hawakan.
Attorney, you will be removed.
Bawal hawakan. Bawal hawakan. Tumayo ka na lang. Bawal
The right to
hawakan.
counsel is something that has to be observed and
Huwag
respected.
kayong umawak. Kaya na kayong pakialam sa kanila. Huwag yan.
Kasi nga,
Huwag mo ano yung lawyer. Bawal.
Huwag na tayo
nag-uusap pa kami.
Huwag mo hawakan yung lawyer. Huwag mo hawakan.
Nag-uusap pa kami.
Huwag mo hawakan. Huwag mo hawakan. Huwag ba?
Nag-uusap pa kami.
Attorney, please.
Huwag mo hawakan.
Is this what you want? Is this what you want, Mr. President?
Huwag mo hawakan. Time lang eh. Time lang.
Kayo mga
Huwag mo hawakan yung nanay ko! Ang ina mo!
Kayo mga sundalo, tanungin ko kayo, anong kasalanan ko?
Okay, dito sa video nakikita na si General Torre hinihila yung abogado. Standard procedure po ba ito ng PNP? Bakit mo kinakaladkad yung abogado? Hindi ba karapatan ng isang akusado, arestado na magkaroon ng abogado? Bakit ayaw ninyong palapitin yung abogado?
Gabi na ho yun, ma'am. That's already the time that I'm forcing everyone to board the plane. I'm already forcing the former president to board the plane, ma'am. Tapos na yung napakarami ng optics sa kanilang ginawa dyan, ma'am. And
Interesting use po of force. You were forcing them.
Yes,
So you
ma'am.
admit you forced them. You
I
used
have
violence.
to. I have to because they won't go with us voluntarily, ma'am. So I have tried all the lahat ng pakiusap ay ginawa na
General
namin buong
naman, sa
araw.
dinami-dami ng pulis, ang tanda-tanda na, may sakit pa. Sa palagay mo, masisindak pa yun, o kaya bang lumaban nun?
In fairness to the president, ma'am, after I handcuffed E.S. Mijaldea and told Attorney Delgado that he's the next one to be handcuffed and boarded on the bus, the former president actually acceded and said, sige na, alis na tayo. And you saw that on video.
Well,
It was
nakita namin,
Romy.
di ba, hinihila mo yung upuan. Hindi ba dapat, talagang General Torre, kailangan makinig ka doon sa sinasabi ng abogado? Di ba karapatan nun?
I have already arrested, I even arrested E.S. Mijaldea, ma'am, for obstruction of justice and placed handcuffs on him. That was already the last parts because masyado ng gabi, aabutin na kami ng umaga din, ma'am. It's
Ilang
already
oras na?
unreasonable.
2 oras pa lang. Kalalanding lang ng Hong Kong ng alas 10, alas
12
12
hours.
pa lang to.
12 hours, ma'am.
Kaya nga, anong oras to? Kasi
Mga
sabi
7
mo
o'clock na-
kanina, 10 o'clock
Mga 8 o'clock yan, ma'am. Yung kay Delgra.
O, anong oras na yun?
Mga 8 o'clock yan, ma'am.
Sa umaga na yan? Gabi.
7 o'clock, 8 o'clock ng gabi na yan, ma'am.
8
Si
a.m.
Delgra.
Ay, 8 p.m.
Yes,
Eh,
ma'am.
gano'ng katagal na yon?
10 hours, ma'am? 9 hours?
Naka 9 to 10 hours na. So, sa palagay mo, si former president had sufficient chance to challenge na the validity of the arrest. So, sinasabi ninyo na 9 to 10 hours na yan. Kasi nakuha niya yung warrant nung alas 12 mahigit, hating gabi lampas, ano? Tapos,
Tanghali, ma'am. Tanghali, ma'am. Niya nakuha ang warrant.
okay, tapos, tumagal pa sila ng ilang oras.
11 hours.
Ng 11 hours, sinasabi po ninyo.
Yes, ma'am. They attended to serve the warrant when they disembarked. They asked that it be deferred until they reached 250. Upon reaching 250, they asked for some refreshments and they cooled down. Upon being more calm and after conferring with their lawyers, the warrant of arrest was served in toto, in full, and their rights were read.
So sa tingin ninyo, itong 9 to 10 hours sapat na para sa isang pangkaraniwan tao na makakuha ng sariling abogado, tapos i-check yung kanyang warrant, pagkatapos mag-draft, mag-file ng maayos na petisyon ng habeas corpus. Ganun ba yun?
Ma'am, you must, I think the record showed that there were 3 lawyers with him in conference with him during the entire time. Attorney Delgra.
Paano makakapag-file yun? Gabing-gabi na, hindi naman court hours.
They had filed a case of a TRO with the Supreme Court. They tried their legal remedy. It was duly recorded and there was no TRO given by the court, ma'am. So, ma'am, just to be clear, they had their chance to seek legal remedy as shown by the actions of their lawyers by approaching the Supreme Court. So there was no due process denied, ma'am.
Siguro sasabihin ko at tatanungin ko kay Attorney Medina, ang ating constitutionalist po rito. Masasabi ba natin na nabigyan si PRRD ng sapat na pagkakataon para alamin itong validity ng kanyang, yung katotohanan ng kanyang pag-aaresto? Ilang oras ba yung sinasabi natin na sufficient time, yung sapat na panahon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to clarify, I will just be consistent with the opinion that I posted that there was no reasonable opportunity. That is not to denigrate or cast aspersion on the character or competence of our officials. And also, I have very limited facts when I wrote the opinion. But just as a comparison, if you filed an extrajudicial proceeding, if you will file a petition, the court will order the arrest. The subject of the arrest will have the opportunity to answer, and then the court will have the opportunity also present evidence. The court will have the opportunity to weigh the evidence, and then issue the ruling. For example, in the case of Mark Jimenez, he had more or less over a year to dispute his extradition. So if that would be the standard, that might be considered reasonable opportunity to be heard.
So yung sinasabi nila na naka-10 oras na nag-iintay, talagang panay pa rin ang tutol, hindi sapat na panahon yun. Kasi magpipila ka pa ng kaso, magdadraft ka pa ng petition, dadalhin mo pa. Hindi po ba? So hindi pa rin sapat kahit sabihin natin matagal sila nandun sa airport?
I will just be consistent with what I wrote, Your Honor. My initial view was yes, 6 hours, office hours, or less, 5 hours, to seek relief from the courts may not be characterized as reasonable opportunity to be heard. Of course, that is disputable. That's just my personal opinion with limited facts. I'm sure the officers concerned have good reasons, and that can easily be disputed in court. Thank you.
Yes, para sa amin medyo mabigat nga yung 4-5 oras na bukas ang korte, no? Kasi hindi naman pwede yung hating gabi at hindi naman bukas pa. Talagang alam natin itong mga extradition at kung ano-ano pa, talagang taon-taon yan tumatagal. Hindi oras-oras, kahit naiinip na tayo. Kahit sinasabi ni General Torre, nakakapikon na yung optics nila. Kung ano-ano nang ginagawa, kinakailangan pa rin binibigyan natin ng pagkakataon. So, sa palagay mo, ilang oras ba dapat? Kasi hindi naman bukas ang korte nun, hindi naman office hours eh. Yes, Senator Cayetano po.
No, Madam Chair, konting latitude lang from SOJ because kanina we agreed to disagree already and kaya nga ang appeal ko sa kanya to make rules kung ano ang reasonable time. And since my wife is a mayor and I was speaker and DFA secretary before, I do understand from the enforcement point of view, di ba, sa police, sir. Siyempre, pag may huhulihin, mission-oriented kayo eh. Parang yung military, di ba? Ang mission nyo, ma-arrest, di ba? But that's why nga, meron kang Solgen, meron kang SOJ, meron DILG. So ang viewpoint ng DILG, ng police, ng NBI, halimbawa, hulihin at ma-return yung warrant successfully, di ba? But even si ES Miguel Dia, who remember, he was, you can call it a vacation or a working trip in Hong Kong, na rally, sinamahan lang, didn't expect a 20-hour flight, didn't expect to do all of this. And he only saw the president, former president, an hour before he appeared before ICC, and hindi naman niya alam yung rules ng ICC, etc. So ito ang sinabi niya, di ba? 2 days ago, the world has witnessed the degrading fashion in which a former president of a sovereign country was bundled into a private aircraft and summarily deported to The Hague. To ask lawyers, this would be called an extrajudicial rendition. To the less inclined, it was pure and simple kidnapping. My client was denied all access to the legal recourse in the country of citizenship, and this all in the nature of political score setting. So I won't read the score setting, etc. Alam naman natin lahat. But just to go down, ito, sabi niya. So 1, 2, 3, 4. On the 5th paragraph, I have not been able to explain to him what the prosecution requested when seeking the issuance of arrest warrant. This is because the chamber only established a redacted version of the prosecution last night. Other than to identify myself, my client is not able to contribute anything to this hearing. I cannot speak for former ES Miguel Dia. Ang impression lang, at least sa internet at sa amin, I talked to him. He's the only one I talked to. I haven't talked to the Vice President since 2018 or 2019. I saw President Duterte, parang 2022 pa, I'm not sure, no? But ang point ko, tama-tama nung may kinakamusta ako dun sa Netherlands, katabi niya si ES, ang sinabi lang niya sa akin at that time, wala sa ospital, pinangako sa amin dalhin sa ospital, pumunta kami dito sa center, detention, wala daw Rodrigo Duterte or President Rodrigo Duterte. 30 minutes later naman after talking to him, it was on the news, so that's all public record. So I haven't talked to him, so I don't know kung ano yung stand niya. But I did hear SILG say that nakatape naman lahat to. So I'm not going to ask you to produce it now dahil may court dates pa kayo, but at the right time, just for the committee's accuracy and to be precise in our findings, yun nga, if there are parts na ibigay nyo where sinasabi at pinapakita yung warrant, ano yung warrant, or a copy of what he showed. I'm just saying that we will go back and forth kasi consistent
Sir,
naman kanina pa. Yes,
we
ma'am.
have a picture here, if we can show
Okay.
you. But maybe General Torre can approach
Yeah.
and share
No,
the picture.
sa committee or after, or if you want to show. Ang point ko lang, factually, consistent naman kayo kanina pa na pinakita, hindi doon sa 250, di ba? We're just going back and forth. So I
Yes.
just wanted to escape that. And then I don't know what their lawyers are saying na hindi pinakita. Okay, so, but thank you for that, SLG. So, yung last point ko nga kay Attorney Alexis, in the form of a few questions. Sir, does the quality of your petition to the court matter? In
Your
terms
Honor,
of due process and satisfying reasonable manner that the accused was given the opportunity to seek legal remedies.
You mean to say, Your Honor, you think of due process, the petitioner should have enough time to come up with a quality petition?
Well, quality lawyers, because if I'm consulting an immigration lawyer for a criminal, I don't know the practice of E.S. Miguel Dia. Well, at the last 6 years, I do know that he was E.S. In his younger years, he was my dad's partner before nag-iba-ibang law office. Parang hindi ko alam kung litigation or labor eh. So ang point ko lang, di ba, the quality of the petition you file is also part of due process, meaning having enough time with your lawyer, being able to choose kung sinong lawyer, the combination of your lawyers, whether saying, sir, pang RTC to, sir, pang Supreme Court. I read marami sa internet na bakit hindi ununa yung writ of habeas corpus, application for the writ of habeas corpus versus the TRO. The explanation, sorry guys, talagang sa Facebook at sa news, but sa news, doon ko rin nabasa, so I'm not saying it's true. Maraming fake news in all sides, but I'm just telling you honestly where I got my news. At sinasabi nga na si attorney, how do you pronounce it? Torion? No, the one who filed sa TRO, yung Torion, di ba? Sinasabi kasi nga, si Attorney Torion somehow worked on it na nung may balita pa lang sa Hong Kong. Kaya yun yung final. I don't know if it's true or not, but my point is, I see from the enforcement side, binigyan nyo ng 10 hours, 12 hours, but from the accused side, enough time to pick my lawyers, to give the facts, to look at the warrant, to look, kasi ako lang, 2 days na ako nag-aaral sa hearing na to, hirap pa eh. So if, I'm not a practicing lawyer in the sense na nagli-litigate, di ba? But I don't think I'll be able to put a really good petition to the Supreme Court or to the RTC in 2 days. Di ba? So to say may 12 hours na. So my question was really, hindi ba part ng due process then yung reasonable opportunity to the best defense available to you?
If I may, Senator, there are actually no clear constitutional or jurisprudential standards on the quality of legal service as an aspect of due process. But it's arguable that the quality, the opportunity to get quality legal service, the opportunity to get to submit a quality legal work should be should be also part of the guarantee of reasonable opportunity to be heard of due process. So personally, I would agree, but unfortunately, it's still something that should be argued po. Maraming salamat.
Sige. I just wanted to make the point na for me, yung part ng due process doon is yung best defense available sa kanya is made available precisely. Because if you will dictate to me ano defense ko, problema yon, di ba? So, kung titignan mo sa Hague, so hindi nila pwede pang question dun sa unang hearing, let me just call it unang hearing, yung jurisdiction, yung pagpunta doon, and then September pa. Dito, unless you're caught in flagrante delicto and unless i-inquest ka, a number of days ang ibibigay ng fiscal, tapos sasagutin ng abogado mo. So mahaba pang proseso bago ka, and that's for simple cases, for theft, etc. Lalo pagka for murder. And even sa inquest, may time na binibigay na papakawalan mo. So I just wanted to make that point na ibang-iba. And just an observation, Madam Chair, dito po sa information on the surrender and transfer, nakalagay kasi dito, number 14, the ICC representative informed Mr. Duterte the next step that would be followed, that he's going to be transferred to the ICC detention center by the Dutch authorities. He was informed that he was being arrested in the implementation of ICC warrant for arrest, that he was informed he will be checked by medical professionals. He was informed he has the right to receive family visits. He was informed that his first appearance will take place soon. He was informed he would be taken to a hospital. He was informed he would receive a folder at the detention center with his rights and information on the next procedural step. No? And then si E.S. Miguel Dia, ang sinabi niya, what did he say about sinabi niya the next day pa or? Hindi, may sinabi siya after the hearing, di ba? Oo, na basically na hindi pa nila alam yung charges. So again, tama si SOJ na iba sistema nila. They, for all we know, they were following their system. But that's my point nga. Iba sistema nila sa atin. And we subjected not only an ordinary Filipino citizen, but a former president to that. So parang on trial din tayo doon. So, I'll defer back to you, Madam Chair, but later I have some questions on fact.
Yes, sa news footage, naipakita rin na si former president was checked by medical doctors. Kaya lang, ang sabi, hindi naman doktor ni presidente yon. Is it not under the PNP standard operating procedures na yung arestado may karapatan humingi ng doktor ng kanilang sariling doktor, yung independent and competent doctor of their own choice, ang sabi sa inyong standard operation procedure noong 2012, di ba itong kinikilala ng kapulisan natin?
Ma'am, he has doctors who came over, and I believe they are from Cardinal Santos. We offered also the services of the PNP doctors, and we also offered the services of the post-hospital doctors there on the Philippine Air Force.
Hindi, pero ang mahalaga, yung doktor na talagang doktor niya.
Yes, ma'am. They came from the Cardinal Santos is their doctors. What they are actually asking, they even asked for ECG, and the ECG came. That was very, very different from the ordinary Filipinos. And they're asking for, I think, executive checkup. That's one thing that we did not accede to.
Ang sinasabi
Madam Chair,
ninyo,
if I may.
Po? Yes, Senator Jinggoy. So, walang katotohanan doon sa sinasabi na hindi ninyo pinagbigyan yung sarili niyang doktor?
No, ma'am. Not true, ma'am.
Okay.
They requested the doctor. The doctors arrived. He was given an ECG. Subsequently, they asked Ms. Hanilet, the common law partner of the former president, for a list of his prescribed medicines. She declined. We asked a rundown of his pre-existing medical conditions. She declined. We asked what allergies he had. She declined. We asked that she board the flight with him going to The Hague. She declined. So all those rights accorded to him were given, and the doctor was given, and we tried to extract as much information as possible, but they all declined.
Okay, Senator Jinggoy, I believe that Secretary John Vic said that these were untrue, that this was all fake news, that in fact his rights were honored, and in fact they provided an ECG which is above and beyond the usual practice. Yes, Senator Estrada, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let it be known that I am not protecting or I am not defending anyone, much less the former president of the Republic of the Philippines, President Duterte, since I am an ally of this administration led by President Bongbong Marcos, and at the same time a friend of Vice President Inday Sara Duterte. Now, since you've been asking the questions addressed to Gerald Torre, may I ask Gerald Torre, how did you think did you handle the arrest of former President Duterte properly?
Yes, sir. I do, sir. It's proper.
It was proper. But when I saw the video, it was really, for me as a citizen of this country, it was really unbelievable. It was a very, very big disappointment. Because I can relate, General. Because when we were arrested way back 2001, together with my father, the same thing happened. All right, we were in the wee hours of the morning. We were the policemen barged in our hospital room at the Veterans Memorial Hospital. They were arresting us. They wanted us to be transferred to another detention cell because after the May 1 siege, at ano sabi ng mga police? Kalad ka rin na yan mga yan pag ayaw sumama. At the same time, when I saw the video, parang nag-flashback sa akin yung ginawa ng mga kapulisan ng araw sa amin. At ang sabi mo, hihilahin ko yan. Is that what you said, Gerald Torre?
Sir, it's already all optics and tactics already because it's already.
No, I am asking you. I'm asking you, did you say that? Hihilahin ko, hihilahin
Yes,
ko yan.
sir. And I actually made good of it,
What
sir.
no. What prompted you to say that?
Sir, I made good of it, sir. Sabi ko, sir, hihilain ko yan. And I went back to AS Medialdea, handcuff him.
Bakit mo nga sinasabi? You know, your statements based on the video may reflect the PNP as an institution. Baka sabihin lahat ng ating mga kababayan, ganyan pala yung mga pulis. Masyadong wala man lang respeto sa matanda, sa isang dating pangulo. Ganon din ang ginawa sa amin eh. Can you justify why you said that hihilahin ko yan? Nakita ko si dating Pangulong Duterte, di naman lumalaban. What prompted you to say that?
Mr. Senator, respectfully, the threat of hihilahin ko na yan was not towards the president, the former president. It was ensued after a heated argument between his counsel and General Torre. In no way was the former president threatened with bodily harm.
Yes,
Who was addressing the sinasabihan ni General Torre? Was it the lawyer or was it the former President Duterte?
Lawyer, sir, Attorney Medialdea. And actually, sir, after that, I actually went back to him, placed handcuff on him after reading him his rights and arrested him for obstruction of justice. And after
All
that,
right.
sir, I brought him to the bus and came back again and told Attorney Delgra he's next. And again, sir, I will reiterate with all credits goes to the former president because after he saw that I'm already very, very serious in bringing him into the plane, he said, okay, let's go. And I told Romy, the PSG, to just escort him and he went voluntarily to the bus that brought him to the plane.
sisingit
Alright.
lang ako Senator Jinggoy. Kasi binabasa ko rito yung standard operating ng PNP. Ang liwaliwanag naman eh. No torture, no force, no violence, threat, intimidation, or other means to vitiate the free will to be used against the arrested person. Eh di the more so, yung mga kasamahan ng arestado. Eh sabi mo nga, ikaw na nag-admit forcefully. Eh talagang you used force. Eh bawal po yun.
Ma'am, it is, I placed ES Medialdea under arrest for obstruction of justice.
Eh, sabi
And-
nga ni Senator Jinggoy, hihilain mo pa.
Yes, ma'am. I did because I have to get into their heads to make them to make it very, very clear to them that we are already very, very serious
O,
of
tama
loading
nga.
the president
Oo
to the
naman,
plane.
General, pinapaliwanag mo, pero bawal ang paggagamit ng dahas, ng pananakot,
Ma'am,
ng
just to be
intimidation, or any other means. Ang
Ma'am-
liwanag nasa kapulisan yan eh.
Just to be clear, operationally, there was obstruction of justice. It was the decision call of General Torre to place him under arrest for obstruction of justice. Now let us separate what happened to the president.
You're talking about Attorney Medialdea.
Yes, ma'am.
Eh, paano yung iba?
No one else was armed, ma'am.
Yung attorney.
No, wait.
Yung abogado.
If I may, Senator Amy.
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Ayan.
Sino yung kinaladkad nung isang pulis?
Yung security na nakaitim.
I think it was General Torre na hinila yung isang abogado.
Dalawa yun eh. Yung abogado, hinila yung upuan, di ba? Tapos yung nakaitim na si Q, kinaladkad din.
Si Attorney Delgra, sir, because he is next to be arrested. And because of that, the former President PRRD saw that I'm already that serious. And he said, he prevented the situation from further deteriorating and escalating. So he said, let's go.
Isn't he entitled to a counsel of his choice, General?
Yes, sir. For 12 hours, he was there.
Oh. Can't he speak to his client? Bigla niyo na lang...
They are there for 12 hours, sir, speaking to each other.
Ano?
They are there for 12 hours speaking to each
Alright.
other, sir.
One more thing that I noticed in the video, no? Ang sabi ni PRRD, papasukin niyo yung anak ko. Abogada siya. At ang sinabi mo, hindi ko siya papapasukin. Why not, Gerald Torre?
That is a decision. That is my call, sir. That is my decision. Considering that
Okay.
he had already been assisted by 3 lawyers, all throughout
Okay.
that time, sir. And gabi na ho yun, sir. The request was
Ano?
made at around mga 9 o'clock na, sir. 11 hours
General
after
Torre, ganito,
the
ha?
first arrest.
Tanggalin mo na yung titulo ni Inday Sara. Kalimutan mo na siya na Vice President siya. Pagpalagay natin hindi siya Vice President. She is an immediate member of the family. Nung kami po ay nakakulong, ang immediate members of the family, 24 hours pwede bumisita sa amin, nakakulong kami. Eh ito hindi pa nakakulong. Anak ito. Bakit hindi niyo pinapasok?
Maliban doon, is this not a violation of RA 7438 that requires that you guarantee access to an attorney in addition to the immediate family? The President also said na yung anak niya, yung babae, abogado ko yun, papasukin nyo. Hindi nyo pinapasok. Eh, abogado yun eh.
Actually, sir,
Exactly.
first to answer the question of Senator Estrada, sir. I have told the President that they can visit him at his detention facility because at this time, the order of the day is to load him into a plane. So that's what we endeavored to do, and that's what happened, sir.
Ano niya bibisitahin yung tatay niya? Sa Netherlands. Hindi naman dito tinray eh. Hindi naman dito kinasuhan eh. Sa ibang bansa eh. Oh, bakit hindi niyo man lang binigyan ng kortesiya yung anak na isang abogada na magkukonsulta? Katulad nga na sinabi ko kanina, yung mga nakakulong nga, 24 hours pwede bumisita ang immediate members of the family. Bakit ito hindi pa nakakulong, hindi niyo pinapasok yung anak?
Our mission at that time, sir, is to deliver him to the
My God.
body
Kahit
who issued the
anong
warrant,
mangyari,
sir.
Nasa batas yan. Nasa batas yan, General. Immediate members of the family, lawyers, priests, etc., etc. I should know. Nanggaling ako dyan. Tapos ito, hindi naman nakakulong. Again, I am not defending President Duterte. I'm just explaining the rights of an accused. Because naging akusado rin ako. And I don't want that to happen to anybody else. Dapat naman nagbigay kayo ng konting kortesiya o respeto man lang sa mga dating presidente dahil naranasan namin yan. Nung kinulong po yung tatay ko, ganun din. Kawalang respeto ang mga pulis sa amin. Porket nawala na ba kami sa kapangyarihan, ganun na lang. Eh matanong ko naman sa iyo, General, wag naman po sana mangyari, God forbid, sa pag sinapit ng ni President, pag sumapit ng ganitong sitwasyon si Presidente Marcos, gagawin mo rin ba yon sa kanya? I hope not.
Ang liwanag po ng batas, kung ma-follow up ko lang si Senator Jinggoy, tama po siya. Hindi lang yung immediate family, medical doctor, pare or religious minister, any national non-government organization, ang CHR, international non-government accredited by the Office of the President. Lahat yan may access, pero pinagbawalan ninyo. On 2 counts, immediate family na, abogado pa niya. Bakit ganun?
Ma'am, I think that's sub judice. I think we should be wary of many of the things we are mentioning
Bakit
here.
po naging sub judice yun?
Ito kasi, habeas corpus po ang petition. So everything about the arrest will be asked by the Supreme Court.
Kanina pa natin
kung pwede ho.
pag-uusapan yung aresto.
Pero I think that we're just passing, parang lumalampas na po tayo sa boundary.
Senator Jinggoy pa.
Ang sinasabi ko lang, the manner on how the former president was arrested, because ayoko naman mangyari sa darating na panahon na magkakaroon naman tayo ng ganyan. Sana makapagbigay lang ng korting kortesiya man lang, nakausapin yung mga abogado, pero nakausapin yung mga members ng immediate family niya, sana naman binigyan niya ng pagkakataon. Kaso mo, nung nakiusap si dating Pangulong Duterte na papasukin yung kanyang anak na abogada, tanggalin mo na hindi siya, na vice presidente siya. Abogada at anak niya, member na immediate family, sana naman lang binigyan niya ng pagkakataon. Makita niya yung tatay niya bago niyo siya isinakay sa plano. Yun lang naman yung sa akin. Masakit. Ako, isang anak na meron din akong tatay na ginanon ninyo. Masakit para sa akin.
Pakipaliwanag din. Maraming salamat, Senator Jinggoy. Marami tayong pinagdaanan, kapatid. Kaya't eto nga, talagang dinudibdib natin
Madam Chair,
to. Yes, Secretary John Vic lang po.
Kay VP, kay Senator at sa iyo, hugot ng mga anak ng presidente yan.
Sumpa. Secretary John Vic, itatanong ko lang, why was there obstruction of justice? Paliwanag lang. Anong ginawa nila na obstruction of justice?
I think General Torre would be the best one to explain that, ma'am.
General?
Sir.
Sabi niyo nag-obstruction of justice, kaya aarestuhin na rin ninyo si Attorney Medialdea. Ano po yung ginawa ni Attorney Medialdea na obstruction of justice?
We are about to load an arrested person into a plane to transport him to the tribunal who issued the warrant. And Attorney Medialdea is preventing us from doing that. He shouted at us and intimidated us, including the president intimidating me.
Alam ko malaking tao si Attorney Medialdea, pero hinarang ba kayo? Tinulak ba kayo? Wala namang ginawa eh. Hindi naman nadadaan sa salita yung obstruction eh.
He did, ma'am. So I do believe that under that circumstances, I have to arrest him and I do believe that I used the reasonable force to ensure compliance, for him to step aside, for us to load the former president to the plane.
So yun lang yung obstruction dahil nagsisigawan yung mag-asawa?
He is preventing us from doing our job of loading the former president to the plane.
Hinarang ba kayo?
Yes, ma'am.
Anong ginawa? Hindi
Nakikita
namin
naman sa
makita
video
eh.
Nakikita
Ang nakita
naman sa
ko
video.
lang, pinipilit niyo iposas, hindi magkasya yung posas.
Yes, that's one thing, ma'am. His blackmail way, he is preventing us. He actually placed another chair at the side of the president for the former president to sit, which is already very much delaying everything because the plane is already ready to fly.
Ba't kayo masyadong nagmamadali?
We are going... Unang-una, ma'am, ang reglementary period, mamalasin naman kami pag hindi namin ginawa ang trabaho
Bakit?
namin.
Anong reglementary period? Anong period yun?
The Article
Dahil
125...
sinabi na nga ni Executive Director sa ating PCTC na diffusion lang naman yun eh. Wala nga commitment pinag-uusapan dun eh. Wala nga red notice, pambira eh.
There is a warrant.
Takal-takal na ni Arnie Tebes eh. Wala pa rin, di ba? Ba't kayo nagmamadali? Ano yung reglementary period mo?
May I refer it to the SOJ, ma'am, if the SOJ wants to answer that.
Hindi ba pwede kayo na muna? Mauna lang kayo, tapos sa si SOJ. Pwede?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
My main processes during the time is that I have implemented a warrant, and it is therefore the person is already arrested by virtue of a legal warrant. And Article 125 comes into play of the revised penal code, which is entitled Delivery of Persons Legally Arrested to the Proper Judicial Authority. And I do believe at this point the judicial authority will be the ICC. Therefore, I have to abide with that Article 125 of the
So
revised penal
inaamin
code.
mo warrantless arresto. Kasi yung Article 125 ng RPC does not apply kung may warrant. So inaamin mo walang warrant.
At the many stages, ma'am, all the many other,
Hindi,
among
make
other
up your
laws.
mind, General Torre. Warrantless arrest ba to o may warrant? Kasi ang liwanag naman ng Article 125 eh, ng revised penal
I do
code.
believe that I have a warrant at this time. I just don't want to be...
Hindi walang reglementary period. Mamili ka. Kapag warrantless arrest, edi may period. Kapag may warrant, walang period.
Just the same, ma'am, I have to deliver
Hindi
him to the
pareho
judicial
yun,
proper
kapatid.
authority.
Hindi magkapareho yun. The reglementary period only comes into play when there's a warrantless arrest in accordance with Article 125 of the revised penal code. Di po ba? At saka may kinalaman yun sa delivery of the accused and arrested. Di po ba?
And I'm being cautioned by the DOJ, ma'am, that it may be sub judice already to discuss that because of the habeas corpus pending in the Supreme Court, ma'am.
Pati ba naman ng revised penal code, naging executive session? Pambihirang buhay ito. Okay. Senator Cayetano?
Ma'am, can I have a few questions, baka 10 to 15 minutes and a short introduction lang. Okay. So, good afternoon ulit, gentlemen, ladies. Pasensyahan niyo yung aking introduction. I'm not imposing this on you. This is my personal code, di ba? So, more than being Alang Cayetano or a senator, a former Secretary of Foreign Affairs or former Speaker or Congressman, I believe I'm an ambassador of the Lord Jesus Christ, di ba? So I'm not imposing that on anyone, but our USEC here will tell you, ambassadors don't have opinions. Kung ano ang sinabi ng principal nila, yun ang iyong opinion. Hindi ka pwede magsariling opinion. So when we pray, yung Lord's Prayer na, your kingdom come here on earth as it is on heaven, you're actually aligning your government and your culture with God's culture, di ba? And God's purpose. Yung pinakasimple is do good or promote good, prevent evil. Parang sa police din, Sir Marbil, di ba, na prevent evil, do good. Saan nagkakatalo? Nagkakatalo dun sa mga pro-Duterte na the drug war was a war for peace and order. It was a war because many pushers and to certain effect addicts who committed crimes were making people unsafe. So to those who are supportive of that, they're doing God's will of promoting good. Doon naman sa human rights activist, ang ano nila, accountability. So kahit yan ay pusher or addict, hindi dapat patayin na lang or EJK. Wala tayong complication if Duterte was more like FVR or more like Pinoy because his language was more diplomatic. So you wouldn't hear FVR despite being a distinguished soldier, one of the founders ng special forces, 'di ba, ng even sa police, 'di ba? So pero kasi si President Duterte may lengguwahe, pag lumaban, patayin nyo yan. His explanation is that yun kasi naiintindihan ng kriminal. Pero ang police, aral yan, so alam nila tama't mali. So if you looked at the videos when I was foreign minister, I had nothing to do with operations, but part to nung explaining to the world what was happening, and part to nung communications. It was both based on the foreign policy, and the President allowed me to put a little bit of my opinion. So ang stand namin doon during that time, and this is where I'll start my questions, SOJ, is that lahat ng mali iimbestigahan. So the only way that President Duterte will have a chance to show na walang systematic culling of addicts, extrajudicial killing, walang crime against is individual, one-on-one investigations. What confused everything during that time? First, meron po kasing issuance ang sila Secretary de Lima noon, ni-redefine nila yung extrajudicial killing. AO 35. Kaya yung 13,000 to 18,000 na patay every year during the Aquino administration, suddenly nung Duterte administration, so nung time nila, sinabi nila hindi extrajudicial yon. So nandun sa AO, tinanggal nila yung mga activist na hindi daw extrajudicial killing yon. So pagdating ng Duterte time, basta't patay at hindi natural causes, extrajudicial. Okay? Pero klaro din naman na dumami din because nga, once you started the campaign, meron talagang away among the syndicates, meron, from the start, Duterte said, meron politiko, meron police, may businessman, lahat yan may involved sa drugs. And no one of us naman doubted that. Ang question lang, yung due process sa mga police at politiko dun sa drug war. So, klaro tayo dun. So, eto lang yung question ko. SOJ, feel free kung tingin mo, sub judice or issue na to, but factual lang, no? I think this is of public record. Former Senator De Lima was a Commission on Human Rights chairperson 2008 to 2010. Tama, no? Yeah. So, no one disputes that. Sa pagkaalam ko, wala siyang final na case during that time na siya'y CHR. So, I'll just check that, Madam Chair, and then submit it to the committee. But ang pagkaalam ko, walang case. Okay. But eto siguro masasagot ng DOJ kung hindi ngayon, just forward the answer. From 2010 to 2015, despite the investigation of former Senator De Lima noong 2008 to 2010, ang sabi niya, mahirap kumuha ng witness kasi nga mayor pa siya noon, tapos malakas daw sa presidente noon. I think he was peace and order head nung region eh. But 2010 to 2015, siya ang DOJ secretary. Sa pagkaalam ko, wala rin siyang final na case. To your knowledge, may final ba ang DOJ noon or special prosecutor against Duterte ng 2010?
I have no idea,
Yeah.
sir.
Can we double check?
I will double check,
Yeah,
sir.
okay. Sa pagkaalam ko po, sir, wala. Okay? Ang point ko is that either wala siyang kaso, meaning wala siyang ebidensya, because if she had, why didn't she file it? During the time na siya nakaupo na walang poder si Mayor Duterte. Okay. Fast forward, 2016, September pa lang, so June 30 kami naging senador. Siya, I was an incumbent noon. July, last week of July ang third week ang SONA. So July, August, September. No? Wala pang 2 buwan as senator, nakakuha daw siya ng 2 importanteng witness. Si Edgar Motobato and former PNP officer ba siya or Arturo Las Cañas. Again, I won't make a judgment here as far as the 2 witness. But dito niya ginawa. Okay? Again, no cases filed. And yung pagkagawa ng hearing was very political. I was just testing the credibility of Edgar Motobato and Arturo Las Cañas. For all I know, they were very credible. Pinatayan ako ng mic dito sa sesyon. Inagawan ako ng mic, ini-intimidate ako. And although namagitan si Senator De Lima, hindi niya sinensure, hindi niya pinagalitan yung umalis ng mic. And anyway, history is the record. Ang point ko, still they did not file cases dito sa Pilipinas. Pero hawak nila yung 2. Sabihin mo nang walang mangyayari, I don't agree, but sabihin mo walang mangyayari kasi panahon ni President Duterte yon. So again, fast forward, no? From 2022, June 30, when President Marcos took over in Marcos administration, to present, do you know of cases filed against President Duterte, whether it's murder or crimes against in the Philippines?
I think Senator Sonny Trillanes filed cases.
Okay. So meron.
But this went to the office of the Prosecutor General, who immediately forwarded the said cases without going to my office to the Ombudsman. And there, it's already, it was locked in there already. It never went back to us.
So as we're discussing naman SOJ, this is factual lang naman, di ba? May case ba, wala? We're not making judgments dun sa cases. Because, but ang point ko kasi, kung walang case, bakit? Kasi kung walang ebidensya, no point for ICC to take it up. Kasi wala ngang ebidensya. If it's because hindi matry dito, for whatever reason, di ba, pinoprotektahan natin, our justice system doesn't work, then dapat mapunta sa ICC. So I don't know the amount of evidence attached to the complaint of Senator Trillanes. Again, I won't comment. Factual lang yon. I have my opinions, but I'll keep my opinion to myself. No? But in June 24, 2022, so ano pa to? Duterte pa to, no? Kasi June 30 pa ang Marcos, di ba? Nag-file ang Solgen sa ICC ng deferral request. So you're aware of this. Okay. So tignan na lang nasa page 315, no? Kasi can I have the ayan sa ICC? I think you talked about jurisdiction but hindi nagsentro sa Article 17 din, pero sa ICC, hindi dun sa batas natin. Okay. So, I think the deferral was based on ito yung notice of deferral. 18-2. So, just for the record ng mabilis lang, I haven't even read that yet but just for us understanding and then baka makatulong not necessarily on what side but makatulong sa Supreme Court, no? Okay, Article 17, issues of admissibility. Having regard to paragraph 10 of the preamble of Article 1, the court shall determine that a case is inadmissible where, okay, ICC to, Rome Statute which we ratified and then we withdrew, no? Sabi A, the case is being investigated or prosecuted by a state which has jurisdiction over it, unless the state is unwilling or unable genuinely to carry out the investigation of prosecution. So again, SOJ, I won't put you on the spot, but for me, 2008 to 2010, hindi naman unwilling at hindi naman unable to carry out yung state. This was the time of President Arroyo. 2010 to 2016, to be fair, ni-ratify yung ICC 2011 pa. So, naging effective 2011. So, wala na yung 2010. But for me, 2010, 2011, ganyan, hindi unwilling ang state. In fact, pumirma nga sa ICC, hindi rin unable yung state. Wala lang talagang final. Letter B, the case has been investigated by the state which has jurisdiction over it, and the state has decided not to prosecute the person concerned unless the decision resulted from unwillingness or inability of the state genuinely to prosecute. In general, SOJ, SILG, no? In general, Sir Marbil, Chief PNP, in general, I don't remember that the Philippine government decided not to prosecute, diba? Kasi under our present laws, if you find probable cause, even the president cannot stop it. Even ang pardon natin, iba sa US Constitution. Sa pardon, you can pardon right away sa US. Sa atin, kailangan, final, di ba? Kailangan final and executory.
Final
diba?
judgment.
Final judgment, di ba? Final judgment. So kung nag-a-appeal ka pa, hindi ka pwedeng humingi ng pardon. So I don't think we stopped any case or refused to, The third one is the person has already been tried for the conduct in which the subject complained and trial is not permitted. So I think this is their version of double jeopardy, no? So wala din yan kasi wala pa namang kaso si former President, former Mayor Duterte. Letter D, the case is not sufficient gravity to justify further court order. I won't comment dyan kasi nasa ICC yan. Except that, ang nilagay nila, at least 19, and then at least din ba yung 23 o 23. So, I have a little bit of a problem that kasi pag sinabing crimes against humanity, naaalala mo na yung mga dictators of the old sa Africa or some in the troubled areas of not the untroubled areas of the Middle East na grabe ang patayan and everything, di ba? So to put the Philippines there with President Duterte, I think it's a little bit unfair na gamitin mo at least, di ba? Kasi kung sinabi mong from 17 to 1,000, at least may idea tayo. Pero at least 17, ano yon? Baka 18, baka 19. And don't get me wrong, every life matters. Pero iba kasi yung crime against humanity, iba yung murder lang. No? Again, hindi ko nilalang ang murder in the sense na one life yon, you should still be tried, di ba? So for the record, if we have evidence, we should file the cases here against President. He should face here. Okay. So, mahaba pa to, so hindi ko babasahin lahat. Pero just to go to 18, challenges to the jurisdiction of the court or the admissibility of a case. So, pwede kasing mag-file yung Solgen. And then, nandito, if a challenge is made by the state, the prosecutor shall suspend the investigation until such time as the court in accordance. So, ang point lang dito, and correct me now or later on kung mali, is that at any time, kung alam natin may investigation, pwedeng sabihin nung state tayo na sandali, we're hearing it here, or may ongoing dito, or mali kayo. Of course, they can overrule us. They can say, no, we don't believe justice will be there. So to my knowledge, during the Duterte time, never tayong nag-intervene na, except etong kay Solgen ng June 24. I mean, I may be wrong kasi knowledge ko lang to, but June 24, nag-intervene siya. Sinabi niya, sandali lang, please postpone, di ba? Hindi ko pa nababasa anong dahilan na to postpone. During the Marcos administration, we did not, no? We had no filing sa ICC whether na ituloy niyo yan o wag niyong ituloy yan.
It was Secretary Guevara who filed the Philippine position with the ICC.
But that was still Duterte time kasi September.
No, it was already our time.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'll refer to that. But did we ask them to stop or to proceed or?
Yes, we were asking them to stop, but
we asked them to stop.
But we failed the test. We didn't win the case.
Okay. Did they tell you why? Was it our justice system, or they said na pwede pa rin? Or just submit
It's actually the ruling also that what we is being tried here is not a country but individuals who may have violated international humanitarian law.
Sige po. But clear naman dun sa Article 17 and 18, the state intervenes, but it's individuals naman eh. Diba? So I won't go into that na. So I'll move on to, sinabi ni SOJ kanina na investigations are ongoing. Diba? Whether this is individual or groups, whether police or nothing to police, diba? Na sa lahat ng extrajudicial killings.
But it has not been easy, Mr. Senator.
It's not.
It has not been easy.
To your point, I don't have it right now, ha? But when Senator De Lima said hindi inimbestigahan, I looked at the investigative capacity of the PNP during the Aquino administration. Parang 1/3 din lang ang naimbestigahan. And of the total na naimbestiga, it was, I will correct my numbers, ha? But it was like only 20% of those investigating were trained for investigation. That was a long time ago at minana din lang ni President Aquino yon. But ang point ko, there was no substantial difference between the investigations in the Aquino and Duterte.
The difficulty that we had from 2022 is that in wrongful death situations throughout the country, where something foul was suspected, there were no police reports.
Okay.
As a matter of practice, there were no police reports on wrongful death situations. And when we tried to dig further and we spoke to the medico legal, the most known medico legal person in the country, Dr. Fortune, when she investigated a wrongful death situation, the death certificate indicated cardiac arrest as the cause of death. But in the autopsy, there were bullet holes in the head of the person.
That is in itself is evidence, di ba?
Yes,
If there
it's
was
evidence.
if there was widespread na walang police report, and that's the first time I heard that, because when I was SFA, Foreign Affairs Secretary, and I was asking, sinasabi nila, sir, lahat yan at dapat pagka-suspicious, ganito yung sistema, no? And kung meron forensic na cardiac arrest, ganyan, so at the very least may falsification yan. Diba?
Yeah, when we looked at the records of the wrongful death situations, there were really no police reports.
Okay.
Maybe 95% had no police reports.
So anyway, that's for another hearing, etc. Ang point ko lang, our justice system is working.
It is working.
It is working. I mean,
Yes.
it has its ups and downs, and may common belief na pag administrasyon ng presidente, may konting protection for that. May ganun belief, whether it's true or not. But this isn't anymore so 2008 to 2010, 2010 to 2016, kung kailan man nagkaroon ng break-up yung unit team, hindi na panahon ni President Duterte ngayon to. So,
actually, what the cases that we are speaking about were filed by their families in the ICC.
Yes.
Because they could not get justice in the country.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that nobody wants to acknowledge, is that there was a failure of our justice system for a long time. And they had to file their cases in the ICC to get any attention at all from anybody who cared. Because for the longest time, ito mga biktima po, yung mga namatayan, yung mga pamilya nilang namatay o kaya napaslang sa drug war, ay wala ho nang mapuntahan. Kaya doon ho sila nagpunta sa ICC.
That's why I said, SOJ, na may belief na pag panahon ni Arroyo, it's very hard to go after Arroyo. May truth o hindi, in the sense that meron na presidential immunity while you're president. Pero pagkatapos hindi, di ba? That's why after President Erap's time, nakulong siya. After President Arroyo's time, nakulong siya. Di ba? After President Aquino's time, wala naman nag-file ng kaso kay President Aquino. Okay? So kung ang belief, wala kang justice kay Duterte during his time, I won't comment, but that's a belief. But 2008 to 2010, hindi sila nag-file. 2010 to 2016, hindi sila nag-file. And then ngayon, pwede sila mag-file. Diba? So, and walang so I mean, the ICC should also look at our patterns and system. It's not only the period eh. So the second point I want to make is that for example, no, si Mr. Las Cañas as Mr. si Motabato, One, hindi naman dinala ni, and she's free to manifest here kung mali ako, di naman niya dinala sa DOJ or sa Ombudsman yung dalawa eh. After dalhin sa Senate, hindi ko na alam kung anong ginawa nila. Okay, two, assuming it was because they think walang mangyayari during Duterte's time, did anyone bring Edgar Matubato and Las Cañas either to the DOJ, NBI, or to the... Pwede bang dumiretso sa witness protection or that?
Marami ho kami nakakausap na possible witnesses.
Yes.
But not them.
Yeah.
But not Matubato.
But
not Las
example lang,
Cañas.
yung dalawa lang, no? So ang point ko lang, 'di ba, if the rest of the world, the European human rights activists, etc., for the record, SOJ, if these gentlemen are brought to you, and I'm not talking about the prosecutorial lang or DOJ, I'm talking about the whole machinery, the witness protection, the NBI, the PNP, the CIDG, will we investigate?
Yes, we will.
Yes.
We would have. We would have.
Will, diba? So, in the same manner that General Torre is complaining about vloggers who have fake news about him, if there are complaints about Marcos vloggers na fake news, you will also investigate CIDG, diba? I mean, people might believe or not, but you are duty bound to investigate whatever side, di ba?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But of course, during Duterte's time, they did not believe. If kasuhan mo Duterte vloggers, they don't believe may mangyayari, di ba? But I think there were some na cyber libel, even during Duterte's time, no? So the point lang I'm making, and it is not addressed to you but to the international community, is that the Philippines is a vibrant democracy. Di ba? Our economy is good. The peaceful transition from Arroyo to Aquino, from Aquino to Duterte, from Duterte to Marcos has done as well. So yes, we have problems with politics now, but which country doesn't? The US, Europe and the US. Diba? May mga significant difference sila. I mean, many countries are at war. We're not at war. Diba? We have problems with China, but we're working it out. Diba? We have problems with other countries. We're working it out. We have problems with Pogo. We're working it out, di ba? So my point is, di ba, na in my view, dito dapat, yes, accountability, pero dito dapat trinay ang ating dating Pangulo. The last point I want to make is that iba pa rin pag former president. I mean, sa US, na US Constitution nila that the Americans can't be tried elsewhere. But lalo kung US president. So sa akin kasi, kahit former siya, hindi na siya presidente, he's still a symbol Diba? So like me, diba? You know how hard I went against President Arroyo when she was president. But when I was speaker, may pinagawa siya sa House, winelcome ko siya, etc. Kasi yung office, even if hindi ka na doon, nirerespeto mo pa rin iyon diba? So
maybe I can,
go ahead, sir.
I have to tell the Senate that nobody's happy with what happened.
Okay.
Wala akong maligaya sa nangyaring ito. Ngunit kailangan lang gawin namin yung aming katungkulan. Sa tingin namin yun ang aming katungkulan, ginawa namin ang aming tungkulin.
And sir, that's where we disagree kasi tingin namin there was another avenue to go to court. But as you said, that'll be probably part of the litigation. So let's see not opinion, last few. So who received the March, so kailan po na-issue yung warrant? March 10 or March 11?
I know
March 11, sir.
March 11.
March 7, it was under seal.
Okay, under seal.
Yun. Tapos, March 11.
Who or what office received it?
The PCTC.
PCTC.
sir.
They received it. Then from them, Santrin and Smith.
To all the relevant law enforcement agencies.
Law enforcement. Then,
Yes, there are 3 Interpol connections in the country. NBI, Immigration, and of course, the PNP.
okay. Then when it was unsealed, was it immediately executed or did any relevant government lawyers review it muna to see whether a Filipino citizen, whether the rights of a Filipino citizen was being...
Sir, just to be clear,
Yeah.
After the warrant was served on March 11, 3 a.m., it was only in the postmortem that we learned about the unsealing on March 7. So there was no information to us in the effect that it was unsealed on March 7 until after the service of the warrant.
Can you enlighten me on that, Sec? So the unsealing was...
Yes, we learned about the unsealing of the warrant post-arrest, sir.
Okay.
When he was there already, it was revealed to us that it was opened on March 7 although not transmitted to any members of the government.
Okay.
We only received notice, formal notice. I think when the unsealing happened, that's when all the rumors started.
Okay.
I think
So-
that was the basis of President, to the
That,
former
I
president.
thank you for that, SILG, because that factual na meron na nung March 7 na unseal, etc. So
But
I
again,
won't.
sir, I have to clarify that
Yes.
there was no one in complete knowledge of the unsealing until after the arrest.
Who unsealed it ba, theoretically, or
It
what
was
office?
Secretary Boying, it was unsealed by the ICC.
By the ICC?
By the court, yes.
By the
Yes.
court, okay. Let's fill in the blanks na lang factually as, the circumstance, what do you call this, permits. But ang point ko, from the time it was unsealed, served to the President, did any government lawyers look at it muna and make a determination? Or we took it at face value, iserve na yan?
Yes, sir. Again,
You can change my words if you think
again,
prejudicial
sir,
yung word.
just to be clear, there was no contact between the government and the ICC in whatever way or form. We only received the warrant of arrest, the PCTC, on March 11, 3 a.m.
But, so when the PCTC,
PCTC, sir.
yeah, okay. When that office received it, ang marching orders or ang SOP or protocol, again if my words are prejudicial, correct me, please. I don't mind. I'm not putting any bias or prejudice. I'm just speaking the way I understand it. Did anyone in the Philippine government or look at it and check it out muna? Or iserve na natin to?
Sir, upon receipt of the copy, I talked to the Secretary of Justice. He reviewed it. He assumed that it had a presumption of regularity as informed. And we subsequently informed the President of the existence of the warrant.
Okay. You concur with that?
Yes,
OJ, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I reviewed. They transmitted to me.
This wasn't,
I was in Vienna at that time.
This isn't a trick question. So meaning, if you said no one reviewed, I would have asked, wouldn't it be a better protocol that someone reviewed para even before the accused goes to court? But saying that you reviewed it, I assume that you found it regular, and I won't argue with you there. I mean, I disagree that the warrant rise to the level that ipadala mo na lang siya doon, dapat sa court muna. But you were satisfied, at least in form. Again, I don't want to put words, form, and substance, but you know what I mean. Tinignan mo, and then okay na ano to.
Yes,
Tinignan mo, or
I
meant
gave the
your
clearance.
office. Your
I
office.
gave the clearance to serve the warrant.
Okay. So, again, I just want to make a point at that point in time that for me, kung tinanggap nung accused, nung arrestuhin, okay lang. Pero kung hindi, sana may judicial review available. No, I already made the point of.
Sir, it was received at the first available instance that the accused allowed himself to read it.
Yes, that's where I disagree nga kasi something this complex, di ba? I would have rather, I don't know if it's 15 days, 30 days, give the lawyer enough time, etc. to go there. Tapos, lastly na lang siguro po kasi may mata sa gilid si Senator Amy, I think natatagalan na rin dun sa 10 minutes ko. Okay. So si SOJ naman explained the thin line between cooperation, jurisdiction, and everything. Okay. But meron representative ang government, di ba? Kasi, so we turned over the arrested former President Duterte, not to the Interpol, no? We turned them over to ICC.
Our Interpol representative turned him over to the ICC.
So if we were cooperating with Interpol, why didn't we turn them over to Interpol? And then sila na.
We did, sir. Mr. Lacanilao was the representative of the Interpol. He accompanied the former president to The Hague.
But hindi ba dual? Kasi di ba Mr. Lacanilao is Ambassador Marcus Lacanilao?
Yes, sir.
And
He is
he's
also
the-
part of the PCTC.
Yeah, but he's the special envoy for transnational crime.
Yes, sir. And
So he's representing the Philippine government, not Interpol.
Sir, Center for Transnational Crime is Interpol, sir.
Yeah, but what I meant is that he's representing the Philippine participation in Interpol.
He was given an appointment by the President to represent the Philippines in this matter.
Yes. Ang understanding ko lang SILG, di ba? So yung ICC, sinabi, kasi nga, wala naman sa Netherlands. Kung nasa Netherlands, then they would have asked the Dutch police, di ba? But since nga, or the state police, di ba? But since wala nga, they asked, and since the state withdrew, they asked the Interpol, and Interpol asked us. Tama po ba?
Yes, sir.
So, if we were cooperating only with Interpol, dapat sinurrender natin sa Interpol.
Yes, sir. That's what we did, sir.
No, Mr. Lacanilao
He was appointed.
turned him over directly to the ICC, not to the
Yes, sir.
Interpol.
Mr. Lacanelao was given a special appointment by the President on that day, sir, on March 11, to represent the Philippines in the Interpol.
Yes, but the representative ng Interpol.
He was the representative, sir.
So dual siya, representative ng Philippines at ng International Interpol.
No, sir. If the structure of the Interpol is that the PCTC, the members of the PCTC, or as instructed by the President, becomes the representative of the Interpol. The Interpol, sir, does not mean that this international police will effect the arrest. The local members of the PCTC
acts as
the
their
Interpol.
agent.
Yes, sir.
So when it says here, representing the state authorities for the purpose of surrender, Mr. Marcos Lacanilao, in this capacity, was representing the Interpol.
Yes, sir.
Not the Office of the President or the Philippine government.
No, sir.
I'll clarify that kasi usually pag special envoy, you're representing the government.
He was properly documented and appointed, sir.
Sige. Dati lakalinaw lang, ngayon medyo mas malinaw. No. Factual legal arrest. Yes, okay. So factual lang, agree to disagree on the other issues. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you to yeah.
Okay. At this juncture and due to the lateness of the hour, I'd like to get rid of some housekeeping. Matapos lang, gusto ko lang ipakita yung orig na orig nating defender ng ICC dito sa Senado. Balikan lang natin ang dating Senadora Miriam Defensor Santiago po.
As a benchmark in the progressive development of international human rights, the court represents a triumph of international criminal justice by establishing individual criminal liability for those responsible for serious violations of the Rome Statute. The salient features of the Rome Statute are as follows. Bullet, principle of complementarity, spelled P-L-E, not P-L-I, complementarity. The court will act only as a court of last resort. It acts only in exceptional cases where a court has failed to bring justice because that court is unwilling or unable to investigate and prosecute those who have the highest responsibility for the most serious crimes of concern to the international community. Kaya nakikita mo na dito na kung mayroong ginawang kasalanan dito sa nakalista na mga jurisdiction ng ICC, ang magbibista niyan ay ang korte doon sa bayan na yon, hindi ang International Criminal Court in The Hague. International Criminal Court, as I said, is a court of last resort. Pag hindi mo mabigyan ng katarungan ang akusado, ayaw mo o kaya hindi mo kaya, ay saka pa lang yan pupunta sa ICC.
Okay, so narinig natin at ito yung diskurso at paliwanag pagkatapos ng ratifikasyon ng ICC dito sa Senado noong 2011. Maliwanag na Court of Last Resort ang ICC at pupunta lang tayo dyan kapag ayaw o hindi kaya ng ating korte dito sa Pilipinas. Ngayon, nangangamba ako pagkat ang SOJ natin sinabi that the families or the victims of the so-called EJK were compelled to sue abroad inasmuch as there was a failure of our justice system. Hindi na gumagana ang ating mga korte. Sa mabilis lang na pananalita, baka naman na isa sa inyo ang pwedeng magpaliwanag dito sa kapalpakan or kawalang kakayahan ng ating korte. na umandar. Kasi yun ang sinabi. Pero ang sabi naman ni Senator Santiago, the rule of complementarity, I think the DFA is more than familiar with that. Kabisado natin yan. Lahat ng treaty, complementarity ang sabi eh. Kapag hindi na kinaya o ayaw ng mga korte sa Pilipinas, doon lang tayo hahantong sa ICC. Tama po ba yun?
Mama, pwede ho kung... Ang ano kasi nito, yung mga nagpunta sa ICC ay sinubukan nila makakuha ng hustisya sa Pilipinas. Ngunit nabigo sila.
Pero sinabi ni Senator Cayetano kanina, ni walang naghain ng kaso dito.
Yung nga,
Ni isa.
ang problema nga po rito kasi, yung mga nangyari lalo na sa Mindanao, wala ho talagang paggalaw ang mga piskal ng panahon na yun. Hindi talaga gumagalaw ang kaso. Kasi...
Ang sinasabi niyo may pumila?
Meron mga nagreklamo, nagdangkang magreklamo, ngunit wala pong nangyari.
Pero
Yun po
hindi sila
yun ang
nag-file?
kaya sila nagpunta sa ICC.
Hihingi kami ng...
Hindi ko sila kilala, ma'am, pero yun nga yung mga nakausap ko na nung ilang mga araw nakaraan, yun sinasabi nila sa amin.
Maraming salamat, pero kung maaari, bigyan kami ng kopya ng DOJ kasi wala kaming kaalaman na ni isang kaso ay nahain sa anumang korte ng Pilipinas. Kung meron kayo...
Ginapin po namin, maghahanap po kami.
Okay. Pero, parang inaamin ngayon ng ating kabinete, lahat ng mga kinatawan na narito, na yung ating judiciary system, ang ating mga korte, hindi na gumagana.
Gumagana ang ating judiciary system.
Pero narinig natin ang dakilang senadora na nakalipas na huling hantungan lang ang ICC. Dapat hindi pupunta doon kung hindi talagang palpak na, talagang surrender na
Nga ho ito ilang taon na nga ho silang nagpunta sa ICC. Hindi lang naman ngayon po yan eh. Sila po yung nagpunta sa ICC noong 2016, 2017. Hindi pa ho, panahon pa ho ni Pangulong Duterte. Nagdedemanda na po sila. Yun ho, dapat maging maliwanag dito.
Sige,
hindi po sila nagpunta ron nung 3 years ago lang. Nagpunta po sila ron 8 or 9 years ago, nandun na po sila. Kasi marami ho rito, yung mga nangyari po sa Davao, nung mayor pa ho si President Duterte.
So sana maibigay sa amin ang listahan ng mga kasong hinain nito sa Pilipinas na hindi naman umusad, na talagang walang pag-asang magtagumpay. Isa yon. Ikalawa, nakailang beses na sinasabi ng ating Pangulo paulit-ulit na umaandar ang mga korte dito, mahuhusay ang ating mga huwes at abogado. Bakit biglang inaamin natin na pumalpak ang ating korte?
Ayun nga, nagkaroon po tayo ng panahon na talagang wala hong nangyari sa mga kaso na EJK eh. Talagang wala hong nangyari.
Pero may kaso ba?
Nga ho wala nga, hindi police report nga, wala eh. Ganun ho kahirap imbestigahan ang mga kasong yan. Magsisimula kasi tayo, pag tayo po yung nabigyan ng ulat na may nagdedemanda, ang una po natin hahanapin police report. Kasi at least sila po ang naglalagay ng recording ng lahat ng pangyayari sa kanilang mga komunidad. Kung police report po wala, saan kayo magsisimula ngayon? Tapos sa mga police na ilipat na sa iba't ibang lugar, wala na makausap.
Si General Marbil nandito, si General Torre nandito, siguradong pagtitibayin nila na araw-araw may murder sa blatter ng pulis. Pangkaraniwan na krimen
Hindi po sa drug war. Hindi po sa drug war.
Yan.
Sa drug war po, wala pong blatter ang pulis. Marami nga walang blatter eh. Ang problema nga ho dito, napakarami hong namatay na ang death certificate nga nakalagay po cardiac arrest pero may butas po sa ulo mula sa bala.
So tama yun ang sinasabi ninyo, failure of our justice system.
Opo, nung panahon na yun.
So
nagkaroon tayo ng problema nung panahon na yun na hindi ho talaga maimbestigahan na maayos kasi pati ho ang piskal tinatakot po ng pulis nung panahon na yun eh.
Nung panahon na yun, ngayong panahon ngayon, hindi ba pwedeng mag-ayon?
Hindi ngayon ho, mas maayos ngayon sapagkat sinisigurado po namin na ang piskal at ang pulis ay magkasama mag-imbestiga ng mga krimen. Hindi na ho katulad ng dati. Kung ano sabihin ng pulis, dapat masunod.
Kung mas maayos ngayon, ba't hindi na lang magpila ng kaso dito sa Pilipinas? Maayos na pala nag-iba na.
Hindi ko ho pwedeng tanongin yun sa mga nagdemanda sa ICC. Hindi naman po namin hawak yung mga taong yun eh. Hindi ho namin sila kilala.
Ma'am, as a matter of suggestion, if I may, Ma'am, as stated by the Secretary of Justice, na yung mga biktima ng EJK, ang mga police report nila ay cardiac arrest pero may buta sa ulo. That numbers in the thousands, ma'am. Why does the Senate try to investigate that and investigate the circumstances surrounding that? Maybe, ma'am, you can come up with a more cohesive report regarding this matter.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
not trying to put words in your mouth, ma'am, on what to do. It is merely a suggestion.
No,
But
I
when you have a
already
police
asked.
force,
I
ma'am,
already asked the SOJ earlier kung may listahan.
ma'am, but there is no investigation, ma'am, into the deaths by cardiac arrest, but with a hole in the head.
Kaya nga
Did the
sinasabi
Senate
ko kung may
investigate that,
listahan,
ma'am? Did the Senate
magtulungan
investigate
tayo.
it, ma'am? Did the
Oh?
Senate investigate it? Has the Senate tried to investigate deaths by cardiac arrest, but with bullet holes in the head?
Parang nalilito ako kasi yung Kian de los Santos, may 3 pulis na na-convict ng murder. So hindi natin masasabi na talagang palpak.
Homicide po. Homicide ang binigay na conviction. Hindi po murder.
Okay.
That is
Ano
one
man?
of several
Well,
thousand, ma'am.
Nevertheless, hindi masasabi na zero. Kahit pa paano.
Actually, meron na ho
may
ano eh.
nakatulan.
May, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, 16 na kaso na ang nahalukay ni Dr. Raquel Fortun ng mga taong ang death certificate po ay nagsasabi na walang naging problema pero ang autopsy nakikita pong may butas po sa ulo.
Pero, sabi nga ninyo, noon, hindi pwede. Dahil natatakot, nag-iilang, hindi kakayanin. Pero ngayon, bakit hindi magpila ng kaso sa Pilipinas?
Ano ho yan?
Nakita natin, sabi mo, may katibayan tayo sa 15. Ayan, kay Doktora Fortun. Andyan, meron nakikita, may nakumpita.
Ano ho marami ho kasing komplikasyon ang pag-iimbestiga ng ganitong kaso.
Di ba lalong
Ang isa
komplikado
ho
kung
talagang mahalagang
kakalat ka rin pa hanggang dahig? Mas madali na dito.
Isang katulad po niyan, yung ballistics. Pag may nangyari pong pagyayari na may binarel o may pinatay, ang dapat ho dyan, yung scene of the crime preserved, yung ballistics kinukuha. Wala man ballistic report, wala man police report. Kaya pinabayaan po eh. Ito yung talagang nangyari sa atin na napakatagal na panahon na wala na nga hong gumagawa ng real evidence. Lahat po testimonial evidence na lang. Kaya nagkakaproblema po talaga ang justice system. Yun po yung kinokorek namin ngayon.
There being 2 members present online, the chairman declares a quorum, and we now call on the committee secretary, Attorney Dana Alberto, to acknowledge the presence of our resource persons, our guests, and the other honored witnesses. Thank you. Attorney Dana, please.
Good morning. The Committee on Foreign Relations respectfully acknowledges the presence of our distinguished guests, namely, from the Department of Justice, we have Secretary Jesus Crispin C. Remulla, Chief State Counsel Dennis Arvin L. Chan. From the National Security Council, we have Director General Eduardo Año, together with Deputy Director General Nestor Erico, Deputy Director General Marlo Guloy, Assistant Director General Jonathan E. Malaya. Okay. From the Armed Forces of the Philippines, we have Lieutenant General Jimmy D. Larida, PN, together with Major General Elmer B. Suderio, PA. Okay. From the Department of National Defense, we have From the Department of National Defense, we have Secretary Gilberto C. Teodoro Jr. From the Philippine Center on Transnational Crime, we have Executive Director Anthony Alcantara. Okay. From the Philippine National Police, we have Police General Romel Francisco D. Marbil, Police Major General Nicolas De Loso Torre III, Police Brigadier General Jean Fajardo. Okay. From the Department of Transportation, Office for Transportation Security, we have Administrator Arthur Bisnar. From the Department of Foreign Affairs, we have Undersecretary Helen B. De La Vega, Chief Coordinator Bernadette Felici Fernandez, and Officer in Charge Attorney Paul Saret. From the Department of the Interior and Local Government, we have Secretary Juanito Victor C. Remulla.
I'm sorry, may I interrupt? The DFA has not sent any legal representative.
Our Office of Treaty and Legal Affairs, ma'am.
Yes,
Attorney Paul
Saret.
Saret, yes.
You can speak on their behalf. Thank you.
So from the Department of Interior and Local Government, Secretary Juanito Victor C. Remulla. From the Office of the Deputy Executive Secretary for Finance and Administration, Office of the President, we have Deputy Executive Secretary Amante A. Liberato. From the Securities and Exchange Commission, we have Attorney Ferdino Logi S. Santiago. Okay. From the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, we have Lieutenant General Raul L. Del Rosario, AFP, retired. And from the Academe, Attorney Alexis F. Medina. Also in the gallery, we have Secretary Mark Leandro Dong L. Mendoza and Assistant Secretary Rose Virginie B. Inigo. That will be all, ma'am.
Yes, thank you very much. And pursuant to Section 2 of the Rules of Procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation, granting the Senate Committee the power to initiate inquiries if the matter is within its competence, the Committee on Foreign Relations hereby call this inquiry in aid of legislation to discuss the following. 1. The clarification of the involvement and the roles of the International Criminal Court, the International Criminal Police Organization, and the various government agencies in the arrest of former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Number 2, confirmation that measures were taken to ensure that the rights of former President Duterte under domestic laws and relevant treaties were properly protected throughout the process. And Number 3, that such other matters that may aid the committee in crafting necessary legislation on the coordination between Philippine authorities and international tribunals and law enforcement organizations. Having stated the agenda, I invite you to join me view the video clips collected during the incident.
Morning, Raul po. Ano pong, sir, give me plano lang.
O, sir, salubungin lang namin, sir.
Yung warrant, sir, si-serve
Hindi,
nyo.
sir, may taga-PCTC. May Interpol.
Interpol.
Yes, sir.
So kayo ang lead, sir?
Yes, sir, yes.
Kumusta kasi, sir?
Hindi mo pwedeng...
Sige, sir.
Warrant. So, you will just have to pay.
Kung hindi ako papayag, kung kakampi ka dyan sa mga puti, you better go back to them and have the legal... I am a citizen of this country, a former president, and you show me a piece of paper and you're asking me to go with you. That is a serious illegal detention.
Former President Rodrigo Duterte cries out illegal detention at Villamor Air Base after he was served an arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court. The former president was arrested upon his arrival at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport on Tuesday, March 11. Duterte's arrest came amid a case before the International Criminal Court for alleged crimes against humanity during his administration's war on drugs.
For and against you in the court of law. And I want to ask you, sir, if you understand these rights.
Of course, coming from you, it's very clear.
Now that you're asking, sir, for the basis of the warrant, the ICC had issued a warrant pursuant to Article 25(3)(a) of the statute for crimes against humanity and pursuant to Article 7(1)(a) of the same statute for murder, sir.
Buhay ko, sir. Buhay ko, sir.
Generally speaking, pabili ka na namin ng mga gamot na kailangan.
Sir, this is a police operation. Hindi ko naman, sir. Ulitin natin ito, sir. Sandali mo na. Back to square one. Are you saying I place the former president under arrest?
Daniel, matanda pa.
The issue, sir, is for you to choose 3 people to accompany here. May bus dyan. And pwede hardware. Charter flight.
Charter flight from... So we need to know when you're bringing our president. Sir, we need to know please information where you are bringing.
Wala sa pilgrim ko yung
Sabihin nyo kung saan siya dalahin.
Just invoke Article 59. Bakit hindi yan magawa-gawa? That's precisely the point that I'm saying. That's precisely the
The right to counsel is something that has to be observed and respected.
Tanungin ko kayo, anong kasalanan ko? Matanong nga. Kayo, nandito lang kayo natin. Ikaw, tanungin kita, anong kasalanan ko?
Hihilain ko yan. Hihilain ko yan. Ako maniwala ka, hihilain ko yan. Kakapitang mga. Pero hihilain ko yan. Is that our intention?
You have to kill me to bring me to ring. Ang anak mo pupunta dito.
Yes, sir. Hindi pa pasukin yan.
Hindi ninyo, ikaw,
Yes, sir.
hindi mo
Upon my order.
hindi mo pinapasok.
Yes, sir. Upon my order, sir.
Ang sabi ko, ang abogado ko, ang anak ko na babae.
They can visit you at your detention center, sir.
Hindi nila ako pinapapasok dito sa airbase. Nakiusap ako kung pwedeng makausap ko personal si former President Rodrigo Duterte para mabigyan ko siya ng instructions and then makabigay din siya ng instructions sa si General Marbil daw ang in charge ng buong Villamor Military Airbase ngayon. Saan ka ba naman nakahanap ng military airbase na chief PNP ang in charge at siya ang nagsasabi kung sino ang pwedeng pumasok at hindi pumasok.
But you are the second highest official dito sa ating bansa. Pero parang pamumulitika ba ito sa tingin niyo?
Alright, oo. Very much pamumulitika ito. Kahit ang ibang bansa nagsalita na.
Mabis ka namin.
Ba ng plano ng lahat ng ito?
Hindi naman. It was a group effort. Secretary Chidoro was there, Secretary Anyong was there too, and the President and I.
Maraming salamat. Ito po ang napanood ng buong bansa at ang tanging tanong, bakit natin isinuko ang isang kapwang Pilipino? Kung ang iyong kapatid ay inuusig, ipapasa mo ba sa kamay ng iba? Kung ang iyong ama o di kaya ang iyong lolo pa, matanda na at may sakit, kinakaladkad palabas ng inyong tahanan, manunood ka ba na parang wala lang? Ganito ang nangyari ngayon. Isinuko natin si Rodrigo Roa Duterte sa dayuhan na para bang wala siyang sariling bayan. na para bang hindi na natin kayang humusga sa sarili nating tahanan. Here we are watching as a fellow Filipino, a leader, a father, a grandfather, a man who served this country is taken not by his own people, but by outsiders who claim the right to judge him. Sabi nila, batas ang dapat manaig. Tama. But whose law? Ours or theirs? Since when did the Philippines become a province of The Hague? Kung kaya nilo itong gawin sa isang dating pangulo, sino na lang ang susunod? If they can march into our house and take one of our own, what stops them from doing it again and again? To you, to me, to any of us? What protection can we guarantee our OFWs eking out a living overseas? This is bigger than Duterte. This is about our dignity as Filipinos. Ngayon pa lang ito nangyari sa buong kasaysayan ng Pilipinas. Pero paano kung mauulit? Paano kung sa susunod, ibang Pilipino naman ang kinaladkad papalabas? The Senate will seek answers, and if there is indeed wrongdoing, we will make certain to put up safeguards so this never happens again. We are not here to fight, least of all, to fight each other. We are here to find the truth. Because a country that does not demand answers will always be at the mercy of those who dictate the questions. Ang hustisyang ipinapataw ng dayuhan ay hindi hustisya. Ito ay pang-aalipin. Ito ay pagkontrol. At mga kababayan ko, hindi tayo alipin. Tayo ay Pilipino. At kung Pilipino ka, hindi mo kailanman isusuko ang iyong kapwang Pilipino. Hindi mo isusuko ang iyong pagiging Pilipino. We call on Senator Bongo, who also has a preliminary statement. Senator Bong, I think you're on mute. There we go.
Good day, Madam Chair, distinguished colleagues, to the resource persons present in this hearing. Ang pangunahing tanong ko po sa hearing na ito, paano at bakit tayo umabot sa ganitong sitwasyon? Meron naman tayong umiiral na hustisya sa bansa, meron naman tayong sariling mga batas at korte. Bakit pinayagan po ng gobyerno na nakipin po ang isang Pilipino sa sarili nating bayan? Sabi nga ng mga nakakarami, too late the hero. Kaya kung ano man ang lumabas sa hearing na ito, si dating Pangulong Duterte ay ngayon nasa The Hague na po, Netherlands na po. Ano bang pwede pang magawa? I respect the initiative of this committee to hold the Senate inquiry. Bagamat nirespeto natin ang pagdinig na ito, sinasabi ko rin po ang aking mga hinanakit na parang too late na po. Walang problema sa akin mag-hearing kahit araw-araw po. Pero ang tanong, may babalik niyo pa ba si Tatay Digong? Yan ang tinatawag ko na too late the hero na po. Useless lahat ng hearing na ito kung hindi na po may babalik si Tatay Digong. Kung kaya, pakiusap ko lang, kung kaya niyo po siyang dalahin doon in less than 1 day, sa loob po ng 13 na oras, dapat kaya niyo rin po siyang ibalik dito sa lalong madaling panahon. Dahil nangungulila po ang Pilipino at hindi kayang tanggapin ang nangyari sa kanya. Bilang isang mambabatas, nandun ako sa NAIA nung lumapag ang eroplanong sinasakyan ni dating Pangulong Duterte. Hindi po ako pinayagang makapasok. Kasama ko po ang kanyang mga doktor dahil may scheduled medical check-up po siya sa March 12. You may check the records po. Importante, masiguro ang kanyang kalusugan dahil 80 years old na po ang dating Pangulo. Pero mukhang hindi ito naisaalang-alang po ng otoridad dahil hindi siya pinayagan na mapunta sa ospital. Hindi nadala ang kanyang mga medisina. Alam niyo po, ako ang nagpapadala ng medisina niya sa bahay niya. Linggo-linggo po yan. Dahil yan po ang pinangako ko sa kanya noon. Bagamat hindi na po siya nakikialam sa akin sa politika. Pero sa kanyang medical, ay yan ang pinangako ko sa kanya. na hindi ko siya pababayaan habang buhay. 27 po ang kanyang gamot. Sana po'y maibigay rin ang kinakailangang gamot at medical attention sa kanya habang nasa ibang bansa. Dahil karapatan naman po ito ng bawat tao. Constitutional right po natin yan. Sanay po siya na merong nurse, sanay po siya na may doktor na nag-aasikaso sa kanya. Naikwento nga sa akin ni Atty. Medialdea na noong unang bumisita siya sa detention cell, ay nakapaa siya dahil hindi po na naipasok ang kanyang mga gamit. Alam niyo, hirap na nga siya magmedyas. Hindi na niya kayang magmedyas mag-isa. At ngayon, it took Atty. Medialdea several days bago maipasok yung mga kagamitan na kailangan ni Tatay Digong. Mahirap talagang kanyang sitwasyon ngayon na nakadetain. Sa unang pagharap ni dating Pangulong Duterte sa ICC, napansin natin iba po ang kanyang pananalita. Marahil ito ang estado ng kanyang kalusugan. Sa totoo lang po, several times na po naobserbahan ko yan noon. Yung kanyang pananalita, ganun yan. Pag hindi po naibibigay sa kanya yung saktong medisina na dapat niyang inumin. Marami na pong karamdaman si Tatay Digong. Sino ba namang 80 years old na walang gamot na iniinom at walang karamdaman? Yun po ang aking kinakatakot sa ngayon, ang kanyang kalusugan at ang kanyang kaligtasan. Kaya hindi ko po maintindihan bakit hindi pinayagan ng mga pulis ang doktor na makita siya. Okay na po ako, hindi niyo po ako pinapasok. Ilang beses po akong nakiusap. Pwede ba akong pumasok, sumunod? Pinababa nga ako sa sasakyan eh. Hindi po ako pinapasok doon sa Villamor Air Base. Pero nakiusap po ako na unahin na lang po yung doktor niya at yung ambulansya. Lahat naman may constitutional right to seek medical attention when needed. Lahat ng Pilipino, dating presidente man o normal na mamamayan, lahat ay may karapatan na masiguro ang kalusugan at kaligtasan. Nakakalungkot na isang bagay na ating ipinaglaban para sa Pilipino, hindi maibibigay po sa dating Pangulo na minamahal ng marami. Ganyan ba po ang dapat na trato sa taong minahal ang bayan at minahal din ng taong bayan? Madam Chair, mataas po ang aking respeto sa kapulisan. Lalo na po sa mga babae, mataas po ang aking respeto sa kanila. Noong nakaraang administrasyon, nanumbalik ang respeto ng ating mga kababayan sa kapulisan. Taas noo po ang ating kapulisan, ang ating mga sundalo. As its highest ang respeto sa PNP. Inuna namin ang pagtaas ng sahod ng uniform personnel dahil alam namin kung ano ang sakripisyo ninyo para sa bayan. Ako mismo bilang SAP noon, ako po nangulit noon na may sakatuparan po ito dahil minahal namin ang kapulisan. Ngunit nakakalungkot, Madam Chair, na noong nandun ako sa NAIA, nakikita niyo naman po sa video, nagtanong lang po ako sa PNP spokesperson kung saan kami dapat pumunta. Dahil sabi ni Chief PNP Marbil sa 250 po. Nilapitan ko po ang inyong spokesperson at hindi po ako sinagot, tinakbuhan po ako. Sana naman bilang spokesperson, konting sagot lamang po. Konting respeto, sumusunod naman po kami sa batas. Hindi naman siguro dapat ipagkait sa atin ang respeto at higit sa lahat ang katotohanan. Sa totoo lamang po, ilang beses na po nagsinungaling si now Brigadier General Jean Pardo. Sana po, Ma'am, bilang spokesperson, totoo lang po ang sabihin mo, alang-alang sa bayan. Your duty is to be loyal to our flag and to our country. Minahal namin kayo ni dating Pangulong Duterte. Sana, konting respeto lamang po. Kung nagawa nyo yan sa akin, magsinungaling, mas nagagawa nyo po yan sa ibang tao. Respeto lamang sana. Gaya ng pagrespeto at pagmamahal namin sa uniform personnel. Pangalawang beses na po ito na hindi ka sumagot ng totoo. Sa interview mo, sinabi mo nagpupunas lang ng pawis ang ilang pulis na nakuna ng video na umiiyak habang inaaresto si Pangulong Duterte. Mapigilan mo bang umiyak? nasasaktan po yan. Doon lamang po tayo sa katotohanan at piliin nyo lang laging magsabi ng totoo alang-alang sa bayan. We must always entrust our loyalty to the Filipinos, to our flag, and to our country. Diyan naman po parating sinasabi ni dating Pangulong Duterte sa inyo. Just be loyal to our country and to our flag. Last, gusto nating malaman kung may nalabag ba na proseso ang pamahalaan, nabigyan ba po ng due process ang Pangulo dahil kung seryoso tayo sa pagbibigay ng hustisya, unang konsiderasyon dapat ang karapatang pantao at ang pagsunod sa due process. Sa totoo lamang po, hindi na po tatakbo si Tatay Digong sa inyo. Di na niya kayang tumakas. At alam niyo po yun. Di na niya kaya kayong takbuhan. Dahil hirap na nga siya maglakad, nagsusungkod na nga lang po siya. Imbis na umunlad, bigla tayong umurong. OFWs, pinapauwi natin. Noon, ginagawa natin ang paraan. In fact, si dating Pangulong Duterte, sumusulat yan sa mga king o sa leader ng ibang bansa para makauwi. And even nagre-raise tayo ng blood money para makauwi lang yung mga kababayan natin. Pero bakit baliktad niya? Bakit isinuko po ang sarili nating lahi? Hindi ko lubusang matanggap na siya ay nililiti sa ibang bansa gayong siya ay isang Pilipino. Samantalang mayroon naman tayong maayos na judicial system sa ating bansa na nirerespeto. Kasarinlan yan bilang isang bansa. May sarili tayong batas, may sarili tayong proseso, may sarili tayong korte at may kakayahan tayong panagutin ang sinumang nagkakasala sa ating bayan. Madam Chair, this is now a matter of principle, justice, and humanity. Hindi ba't may sarili tayong sistema ng hustisya? Kapag may Pilipinong nagkasala, dapat tayo po ang husga. We must protect our citizens and we must stand as one. Dagdag pa dito, Madam Chair, mula noon hanggang ngayon, naninindigan naman po si Solicitor General Minardo Guevara na walang jurisdiction ng ICC sa ating bansa. Kung consistent po ang gobyerno sa posisyon na ito na hindi kilalanin ang jurisdiction ng International Criminal Court, bakit hinayaan po nitong ma-implement ng warrant of arrest ang Interpol mula sa isang korte na hindi naman natin kinikilala? Kung wala naman talagang jurisdiction at may warrant of arrest ang Interpol o ICC, sana binigyan muna ng pagkakataon ng gobyerno through the proper authority like judicial court na i-verify o suriin ang validity ng arrest sa warrant. Ang issue na ito ay hindi lamang para kay Pangulong Duterte. Ito ay mahalagang usapin sa soberanya ng Pilipinas ang nakataya dito. Alang-alang sa ating mga bayaning nagbuwis ng buhay upang makamit lang ang ating kalayaan. Alang-alang sa ating ngayon na patuloy na inaalagaan ang ating soberanya upang ang ating mga anak at ang ating mga anak ay mamumuhay ng isang bansa na malaya at nirerespeto ng ibang bansa. Ang bawat Pilipino, mataas o mababa man ang katayuan sa buhay, dapat may gobyernong masasandalan na hindi siya pababayaan. Former president man o hindi, karapatan yan, lalo na po pagdating sa kanyang kalusugan, kaligtasan at buhay. Sa huli, bagamat andon si Tatay Digong na buong tapang na hinaharap ang kasong isinampa sa kanya, tulad ng kanyang paulit-ulit na ipinangako, napakasakit po sa dibdib na pagkatapos niya isakripisyo ang kanyang sarili para sa kinabukasan ng ating mga anak at ng bawat Pilipino, ni isang Pilipino ay hindi huhusga sa kanya. Imbis na ibigay sa Pilipino ang paghusga sa mga ginawa ni dating Pangulong Duterte na paglaban sa droga at kriminalidad, sadly, hindi po ganun ang nangyari. Sabi ko nga, para sa akin, Pilipino po ang dapat humusga sa totoong sitwasyon sa bansa. Kung mas nakakalakad na po ba ang ating mga anak noong panahon niya, hindi po nasasaktan, hindi nababastos. Kayo po ang humusga. Pilipino po ang dapat humusga. Minahal tayo ni Tatay Digong. Ginawa niya po ang lahat para sa bayan. Tanda na po siya. Ayaw na nga niyang tumakbong presidente. Pero ginawa niya po ito dahil yan po ang kanyang sinumpaang tungkulin para sa mga kababayan natin Pilipino. Pero ngayon, hindi lang si Tatay Digong ang inialay at ipinamigay ng ating sariling kababayan. Mistur lang inialay at ipinamigay din ito ang karapatan ng Pilipino na husgahan ang ating sariling kababayan at magdesisyon kung ano ang mas makakabuti sa ating bayan. As I said, March 11 was indeed the saddest day in our history. Sana po, hindi na po ito maulit. Marami pong nasaktan na Pilipino. Salamat po.
Maraming salamat sa aking kasama, Senator Bongo. We assure you that this is no time for heroics. We are determined to get the truth. We now call on Senator Jinggoy Estrada, who has manifested his desire to make a preliminary statement.
Madam Chair, I wish to waive my opening statement in order to expedite the hearing. But if you will allow me to fire the first salvo, it will be very much appreciated, Madam Chair.
Kung maari, siguro umpisahan na lang natin kasi medyo komplikado yung ating proseso. Umpisahan muna natin yung order, ano? Tapos kung pwede, sumabat na lang kayo, kikilalanin kita kaagad-agad.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Maraming salamat. Okay, at this juncture, I call on the committee secretary to administer the oath to our resource persons.
Kindly stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. Okay. I state your name. Do solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding. Thank you. You may now sit.
Yes, marami pong salamat. Napakaraming cabinet member po rito, mga secretary, mga napakatataas na mga opisyal ng ating pamahalaan. Can we say that as secretaries and high government officials, you are the alter egos of the President, particularly those in the cabinet? Tama po ba yun?
That is correct.
Thank you. And as you are all in the executive branch, can we say you are bound by the words and statements of the President?
Yes, Madam President, as we are bound to by executive privilege for the President.
Thank you. May I recall a clip derived from 18 February 2023. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. said the following, and the clip is here.
Oo, hindi, at bak. Papayagan ko sila dito, pero magturista lang sila.
I'm sorry, this seems to be an earlier statement, 2022.
Naunawa ko sa ICC, the ICC is there pagka walang judiciary na nag-ooperate sa isang bansa. Dahil nagkagera, dahil nasira lahat, the economy has collapsed, etc., for whatever reason. Diyan papasok ang ICC. We have a functioning judiciary. And that's why I do not see the need for a foreigner to come and do the job for us, to do the job for our judicial system. Our judicial system is perfectly capable of doing that. And it also raises a great many questions about jurisdiction and sovereignty. What is their jurisdiction to come here into the Philippines and conduct an investigation? Is that not a violation of our rights as a sovereign nation in the community of nations? Those questions need to be answered before they can be allowed any investigation.
Senator Bongbong, maraming salamat.
Oh my, that went very quickly. Maraming
salamat. Thank you for your time. God bless you.
No. You have misread it. We do not cooperate with the ICC. That is the position of this government.
Pero sa ni-red notice po ng Interpol, we will be obliged to
to participate. As Secretary Remulla explained before, we have obligations to Interpol, and we have to live up to those obligations.
And therefore, the next step,
Okay, let me say this for the 100th time. I do not recognize the jurisdiction of ICC in the Philippines. I consider it as a threat to our sovereignty. Therefore, the Philippine government will not lift a finger to help any investigation that the ICC conducts. However, as ordinary people, they can come and visit the Philippines. Pero hindi kami tutulong sa kanila. In fact, binabantayan namin sila, making sure that hindi sila that they do not come into contact with any agency of government. And if they are contacting agencies of government, na sasabihin yung whatever, policeman, local government, sabihin nyo, wag nyo sasagutin. Yun ang sagot natin. That we do not recognize your jurisdiction, therefore we will not assist in any way, shape, or form any of the investigations that the ICC is doing here in the Philippines.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
That's it? All right.
Okay. On the 18th of February, the President said, my position has not changed. I have stated it often, even before I took office as President, that there are many questions about ICC's jurisdiction and that we here in the Philippines regard as an intrusion into our internal matters and a threat to our sovereignty. Does the DFA agree with this statement? And do we abide by this position until today? Anyone from the DFA, please?
Madam Chair, good morning.
Yes, you recognize USEC.
Yes, thank you. Well, as I speak right now, the Philippines is not a member of the ICC. And the DFA defers to the Department of Justice as the implementing agency when it comes to cooperation on ICC matters. Madam Chair.
Yes, so to the best of your knowledge and in the consideration of the DFA, we are not a member of the ICC.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And the DOJ, having been referred to, may I call on Secretary Remulla, please, to clarify this issue.
We are not members of the ICC, ma'am. So, whatever relationship we have with the ICC is on an arm's length basis if we have to talk to them. But we have never spoken to them.
I'm
we
sorry,
have never
Secretary,
spoken to them.
I didn't hear you. Whatever relationship we have
It's on an arm's length basis, meaning very transparent if ever. But we have never spoken to them.
arm's length.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have had contact even at
No, ma'am.
arm's length?
We do not have any contact. What we're saying is we are very transparent about what we do, and we have never had any contact with the ICC.
So you uphold the statement of the President saying that the ICC has no jurisdiction here in the Philippines. Is that correct?
Ma'am, jurisdiction of the ICC is throughout the world. We belong to a community of nations
Regardless
that
of
is
those
tied
who are
together by a legal system called international humanitarian law. It is something adopted by more than 150 countries in the world. International humanitarian law, which became a law in 2009 or 2010. And that law, that domestic law, is what we adhere to in this case.
Are you referring to RA 9851?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you indicated the date of 2009. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So therefore, we are not members of the ICC.
We are not members of the ICC since President Duterte withdrew our membership in 2018, effective 2019.
Okay. That being the position of the DILG, I assume that Secretary Remulla in the DILG also maintains the same.
Yes, ma'am. I defer to the wisdom of the Department of Justice.
And the PNP, General Marbil, please.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Thank you. If that is therefore an unqualified yes, and you are in agreement with the President that the ICC has no jurisdiction whatsoever, what was the DOJ referring to as the ICC's jurisdiction in the Philippines being different from us being a member? What is the distinction, please?
Ma'am, the ICC tries people for individual crimes, not states. So the Philippines, as a state, cannot be called upon by the ICC to do something for them. But when the ICC is running after individuals who are Filipino citizens, then that obligation becomes another kind of obligation.
So that therefore the Senate ratification of the ICC at the time that it was ratified is of no weight. Regardless, you will fall under the jurisdiction of the ICC under
Well, for
the so-called
individuals-
international.
Yes, madam.
humanitarian- that is your belief, DOJ.
Yes, madam. When there are
Regardless of
individuals
being a party
being
or not
when
being a
there are
party?
individuals being asked by the ICC to explain, it is another matter. As a state is different from an individual. We all know that we have to.
I think that is
the
not the
individuals
question.
being charged by the ICC will have to face the ICC.
I'm perplexed. The DFA made it very clear that as we withdrew, we are no longer a state party to the treaty. And now you're saying that we can nevertheless fall under the ICC, under the generic rubric of international humanitarian law. So it doesn't matter whether you sign or do not sign, whether
Yes,
you
ma'am.
ratify
It
or
doesn't
do not
matter, ma'am.
ratify.
It doesn't
makes no
matter.
difference.
That doesn't make any difference anymore.
Are you certain?
I'm certain.
Okay, Attorney Saret, please, from DFA. Is that the position of the DFA?
Madam Chair, I concur with my USEC, the current acting SFA, that as far as we are concerned, we're no longer members of the ICC, ma'am.
And as non-members, can we possibly fall under the jurisdiction of the ICC under the rubric of international humanitarian law? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, I think, because we, under the...
What's the use of signing or ratifying a treaty if it bears no weight?
Yes, I defer, ma'am, to Secretary Remulla.
May I?
This one, ma'am.
I think it's your purview, your DFA.
Yes, ma'am. But yes, ma'am, technically we are no longer a member of the ICC, but we might be obligated under residual jurisdiction as what the Supreme Court in one case already mentioned, that we still have residual jurisdiction. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes,
Madam Chair, if I may.
I'm a little bit perplexed given that you are part of the executive. The president has said, as he said for the 100th time, that we are not under the ICC. Why is the SOJ now saying that we are nevertheless somehow, in some miraculous way, under the rubric of the international humanitarian law, still under its jurisdiction?
Your Honor, it is not the Philippines that is under the jurisdiction. It is the individuals who are charged by the ICC, which is under the jurisdiction. There is a distinction, ma'am.
Please explain.
As non-members of the ICC, and as a state, the ICC has no jurisdiction over us as a country. But over the individuals who may have committed crimes that violate international humanitarian law, that is a universal value being held by the whole world today, that people cannot cross borders and hide behind boundaries so that they can run away from the law. International humanitarian law is something adopted. The principles are adopted by more than 150 countries throughout the world, Your Honor.
Are you of the position, therefore, that international humanitarian law, as you said, is customary law? Is that the consideration?
It is already customary law now. As we speak, it has become customary law throughout the world.
Are you aware that procedural and admin matters do not form part of customary law? Surely, the Secretary is well aware that procedural and administrative matters will still have to comply with the laws of the land.
Of course, Madam, this goes without saying.
Okay, thank you. Senator Jinggoy, I think you wanted to interject at this juncture. We recognize the senator.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you very much. The DFA, the DOJ, the DILG, and the PNP has already admitted that we are not members of the Philippines is not a member of the ICC. Therefore, why did we surrender a Filipino citizen before the ICC? Anyone can answer, Madam Chair.
We surrendered an individual to the ICC who was a subject of a warrant of arrest. That's what we did.
I did not hear you again.
Mr. Senator, we surrendered an individual to the ICC. We did not surrender as a country, but he was surrendered due to a warrant of arrest issued by the ICC through the Interpol.
Senator Jinggoy, any follow-up questions, please? Thank you. If that's the case, while we've attempted to retrieve Senator Jinggoy, let me just pursue the question of the international humanitarian law being customary law. Since procedural and administrative matters do not fall under customary law, ICC processes, therefore, are not part and parcel.
Madam Chair, the distinction of the ICC process of issuing a warrant of arrest is something accepted through a treaty, the International Police Organization.
You have just contradicted yourself, sir. You said it was customary, and now you're saying it's by treaty.
We can be very technical about it, ma'am.
Sorry.
But we can be very technical about it if you wish to be. But the fact is, it is our accession to the Interpol which made all of this possible.
We will go to the Interpol later. Let us discuss the ICC at this juncture. So while I will go with you for the sake of argument that the IHL, or International Humanitarian Law, has now become accepted as part of international customary law, I am unable to accept that ICC processes and administrative procedures as well are now part of customary law. I don't think so.
The processes are not part of customary law. We have our own administrative processes. If you ask me about this, Madam, we can say that the IHL is the domestic law that we followed in recognizing the warrant of arrest issued against Rodrigo Duterte.
Which domestic law and process did
Republic Act 9851, Your Honor.
as mentioned previously?
Yes, as mentioned previously, and within the provisions allows us two options, either extradition or surrender. We chose the executive mode, which is surrender.
We will go to that later, but at this juncture, therefore, I get an acceptance from the Secretary that, in fact, the processes that should have prevailed should have been those stipulated under RA 9851 or our own local law.
We follow the process, ma'am.
Thank you. So that's correct. On the same day, if I may proceed, the President also said, I do not see what its jurisdiction is, referring once again to the ICC. Can we bring back the video? I think there is a statement there. I feel that we have in our police and judiciary a good system. We do not need assistance from any outside entity. Again, as part of the executive department, you have subscribed to this view, I assume.
Yes, Madam.
So to clarify, the statement means that the President was not recognizing the jurisdiction of the ICC over the crimes allegedly committed by the former President. Is that correct?
We do not recognize the jurisdiction of the ICC over our country. What we recognize is the is the jurisdiction of the ICC over individuals who may have violated international humanitarian law by committing murder and other heinous crimes.
If I may, I think the President was referring to the jurisdiction of the ICC over crimes, specifically crimes committed by PRRD. Isn't that so?
Can you rephrase your question, ma'am?
Well, you said that while the ICC has no jurisdiction over the Philippines as a state, it maintains jurisdiction over individuals and crimes under
Yes,
the
ma'am.
international humanitarian order.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. What the President said is that there is no jurisdiction over the crimes committed by the former President.
Well,
Because we have a functioning police and judiciary system. Unless you submit that we don't.
Submit that we don't what, ma'am?
That we don't have a functioning police force.
We have a functioning
or
police
a
force.
Judiciary.
We have a judiciary. But what we are dealing with here
You're
is crimes
contradicting your
committed
President,
14 years
Secretary.
ago to 2019. We're talking about a timeline, Your Honor, that we were not even here yet, and that it was very hard. Ma'am, may I continue?
Yes, carry on.
Well,
yeah.
it is very difficult for us. We made our
No, the
commitments.
President made it very clear.
We
have
made our
functioning-
commitments to the United Nations that we would investigate all of these crimes committed during the drug war. And it was not a very easy task, ma'am, because the people that we expect to be cooperating with us were not. So, although we're still doing our investigations on the AJ case, on the extrajudicial killings committed during that time,
Yes, I'm not reviewing the drug war. This is a Foreign Relations Committee hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
But in this statement, the President clearly means jurisdiction over individuals. It's very, very clear. There's no area for quibbling. And if you say there's jurisdiction over individuals, I don't believe that you are in agreement with your President. As a matter of fact, the ICC does not try countries, after all. They do try
our
individuals,
views
however.
evolved during times, at times. And I don't
So you
know
do admit
if he
that
still
you-
has the same view up to today, because we are talking about a clip which was done 1.5 years ago. Our minds can change, ma'am. We cannot just stay in one rut and say that this is the absolute, because our minds may change, and we are allowed that by the law of man and the law of God.
Yes, of course. Of course, we all change our minds, and Mr. Secretary. So you are saying that the President changed his mind?
Well,
When did he
I
change
cannot
his
speak
mind?
for him, Madam. I cannot speak for him. Your conclusions are really your own, and I cannot adopt your conclusions here.
They're not my conclusions. It's a bold statement, which really...
Well, your
does not-
statements of belief are your own, ma'am. I cannot adapt to your statements of belief, but I will respect them.
The statement of the President is very, very clear-cut. I would like to show also a letter in December of 2023. Do we have it on hand? Can you enlarge it so that it's much clearer? Okay. On screen is a letter dated 15 December 2023 addressed to Vice President Sara Duterte, where the President says that the jurisdiction of the ICC over the Republic after the effectivity of its withdrawal is very much in question, and I'm certain that all the members will echo my views on the matter. Would you like to comment? Anyone would like to comment on the said letter? Is it correct that if this was in fact a work in progress, as stated by Secretary Remulla, as of 15 December 2023, all the secretaries and undersecretaries already holding such positions at that time also viewed the ICC as having no jurisdiction over the country, as stated by the President himself in the letter?
We did not assist the ICC, ma'am. We continued with the very tenor of the letter, that we did not assist the ICC. We never had contact with them.
We'll
Well,
go
the
there.
investigation that they conducted was through their own methods. and we did not in any way assist them. As said in your letter, we cannot.
It's
we
not
did
my
not.
letter, sir. It's the president's.
It's a president's letter. We did not assist them.
I think that's not the question. My question is simply to say that as of that date, all those in the cabinet were in agreement with the president's statement. Is that correct, Secretary Teodoro? As of 15 December.
Ma'am, the president's statement is binding, and I defer to Secretary Remulla that we did not. That no government agency, the DND, never cooperated with the ICC as in accordance with the statement.
Okay, and are there any other secretaries who'd like to verify that? We have Director Anyo, Director General Anyo, I believe you are cabinet rank as well, and the NSC sits with the President. Is it correct to say that everyone maintained the same position?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. But we did not assist the ICC in their investigation.
I don't think at this juncture we're asking about assisting the ICC. All we're asking is whether, in fact, you all agree that the ICC had no jurisdiction.
I think, ma'am, what we're talking about here is if it's in the case of the former president, the case was committed while the Philippines is still a member of the ICC.
Okay. I don't know, is there anyone of cabinet rank as well? I'm certain that the DFA will probably hold the same position, that you were all in agreement with effectively your boss as his alter ego, that the ICC had no jurisdiction, as stated in the letter quite clearly.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Yusek. Okay. And then in January of 2024, the president then said, let me say this for the 100th time. I think we've seen that clip before. Can we bring it back? Yes, for the 100th time, I do not recognize the jurisdiction of the ICC. The Philippine government will not lift a finger to help any investigation that the ICC conducts. So, at the risk of really belaboring the point, may I confirm is the DOJ, at least as of early last year, was of the stance that ICC had no jurisdiction and the Philippines would not lift a finger, in the words of the President.
The ICC never had does not have jurisdiction over the Philippines, Your Honor. And we did not lift a finger to help them at all.
So we affirm that we never at any juncture lifted a finger.
Yes, Your Honor.
Also, I think the Secretary of Justice vehemently asserted the same during that time. May we have the PowerPoint, please? Are these your words, Secretary?
Yes. Those are my words.
Right. And there is no jurisdiction, and we have an inherent right to determine our own legal framework and address internal matters.
Yes, Your Honor.
So also there is an assertion that our justice system is robust and functional. Your words, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
However, 10 days later, after Secretary Remulla gave the above statement, on 20 February, there seems to be a slight yet significant change in the tone of the President's rhetoric when he said, I am not certain if we have the PowerPoint. Do we have a slide with the President? I don't approve or deny it, but you know the ICC, haven't done anything illegal. We will do something about it. We are an open country. Maybe clarified as to what the President meant, given that there seems to be a determined change in attitude, that in fact we are an open country. And until they being ICC, do something illegal, wala siyang gagawin para hintuin sila. Parang naiba ang usapin.
I will have to ask what question was asked of the President before I make any response, because I do not know what context the president said those words.
I think it's not unclear. Hanggang may gawin sila na illegal. May I ask the PNP, the DFA, anong ibig sabihin if they do something illegal? Na nanghimasok sila, na may ginawa sila sa Pilipinas.
Maybe I can answer that better, ma'am. An example would be to take an oath of somebody within the Philippine legal system. They are not allowed to do that.
Okay, so until such time as they do something illegal, like requiring an oath of someone being entirely unauthorized as foreigners, is that your meaning?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Does this mean that the Philippine government was allowing the ICC to enter and investigate, provided they did not amount to any illegal action?
Nobody ever identified themselves as the ICC when they entered our country, if ever they entered our country. So we did not allow them, if that is the only meaning of your question, we did not allow them as we did not know any entry of any ICC person in the country.
The president's statement seems to suggest otherwise. We are an open country. So
yes, ma'am, but we could not.
That there, in fact, were others coming through.
Well, we suppose that people were coming in and out of our borders. We have millions and millions of people entering our ports and airports, and we cannot ask all of them if they are related to the ICC or not. We cannot do that, ma'am.
Okay, perhaps we can call on Secretary Año. Did you have any information that, in fact, the ICC had resumed its investigation? Because clearly there is a pivot in the president's statement. Perhaps you can enlighten us?
Ma'am, as far as the NSC is concerned, we have not monitored any investigation conducted by the ICC inside the country.
So, at no point after the pre-trial chamber authorized the prosecutor to resume its investigation, did in fact resume its investigation in the Philippines?
We don't have any information that they conducted an investigation here, but probably in
Bakit
their own
nabanggit ng
base.
Pangulo na meron ng possibly illegal entry and that in fact they were welcome since we were an open country? Ano kaya ibig sabihin nun?
Ma'am, may I?
Yeah, may I refer to the DOJ, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. It's really important that we know the context by which the president gave the statement. If we do not know the question, we cannot understand the answer. I think that it's very basic, ma'am.
Yes, and we're all subject to the media. I just found this through the media. I am not aware of any specific or special context. My understanding is that it was an interview, as is usually given by public officials.
Yes, ma'am, but it's usually the context by which we are asked a question that we give an answer. So unless we hear the exact question that he was asked, we cannot give you a complete answer to this question, ma'am.
Perhaps this will be clearer. November 14, 2024, the president was quoted as saying, if that's the wish of Duterte, we will not block the ICC. We will not just cooperate. I think this requires no context. It's pretty straightforward and direct.
Well, we also want to know his response to what stimulus, because if there's a question, we want to know. We still want to know the question.
Simply, he was asked if he approved of the presence of the ICC in the Philippines. There seemed to be some awareness in the public and in the media that the ICC was already here. So they asked the president, what do you think? And he said, we will not block them. We will not just cooperate. There's clearly a change in tone and in order.
Well, if they have not violated any law, I don't think that we should be alarmed at anything that they're doing here, as long as they are not violating our laws.
What does not blocking the ICC mean? Non-cooperation, I think we mentioned that.
Well, still non-cooperation, because we never, up to now, had any communication with the ICC, if officially or unofficially.
Again, I remind you of the President's statement earlier, will not do anything about the ICC as long as they don't do anything illegal. Isn't this tantamount already to blocking the ICC and not cooperating?
Can you put the question into context, ma'am, please?
There is no context. It's simply that previously the President said that the government will not do anything about the ICC, like you commented on, unless they do something illegal in the Philippines. Is this not tantamount to blocking the ICC?
Well, blocking the ICC, we never knew that they were here. We cannot do something that we do not even know or identify the people who are supposed to be blocked. So I don't see the logic, ma'am.
No, it's a simple question, straightforward. As of November 14 last year, ang sinabi ng Pangulo, no blocking, pero no cooperation din. Tama?
Marahil, yun siguro ho, mas maganda hong Tagalogin natin, hindi tayo tutulong sa kanila. Hindi tayo tutulong. Hindi tayo hahadang, ngunit hindi tayo tutulong. Yung paghadlang kasi, wala.
Ng anuman investigasyon, pwera lang kapag illegal na ang ginagawa. Pero
ganun nga ho yun.
Hindi rin tayo tutulong.
Ganun ho ang batas natin eh. Nanguhuli lang po tayo pag may ginawa ho mali. May ginawa ho paglabag sa batas.
Ang maliwanag dito, nag-umpisa na ang investigasyon. As of November nung nakaraan.
Hindi ko po masasabi yun. Kasi wala po akong contact, wala po akong alam na ganung hong usapin nung panahon na yun.
So ang ibig sabihin, hindi pa nag-uumpisa ang investigasyon, nagsasalita lang ang presidente ng kusa?
Depende nga ho sa tanong. Ang problema ho,
sa dating salita?
ang problema ho, kung hindi natin alam ang tanong, paano natin malalaman kung paano ba dyan sinagot yung tanong sa ganung paraan? Kaya kung pwede ho, ilagay nyo natin
sabi ko lang ng
ilagay
tanong.
po natin sa talata yung tanong na tinanong kay Pangulo para malaman natin kung ano ang kanyang sinasabi. Kasi hindi ho eh. Ang ganitong salita po ay response po sa isang tanong. Kaya dapat yung tanong po sana iharap niyo po sa atin para buo ang pag-uusap.